weird. Granted, we're adults now, so the need for that isn't there as much. But at the same time, it's one of those things like there went from being like no Mario or no Sonic toys from when we were kids. Like maybe there was like a short run of some obscure toy that only lasted just a little bit. But then now it's like went from that to being like, oh, we go into any store and there'll be any Mario or any Sonic like merchandise of any kind.
Yeah, I know. That's just all those many of things. It's just like, I don't know where that was. Not when I was a kid, but now it's here today, and I'm an adult with money, so I'm fucking buying it.
It's always most of the stuff like that I buy. It's usually kind of like the kid in me would want this.
Yes, so we gotta support that child. We gotta support that inner child because, damn it, can't let that inner child go away.
Even though I hate 8-year-old Ryan, I'm like 8-year-old Ryan would want this. I don't know why I'm buying him this, but here he goes.
It's almost like if you can go back in time and fix what 8-year-old Ryan really like is or who he was, and make him a better person today.
Say, listen, you little shit. Just punch him in the face and then throw him a Mario doll. You broke even. And then I go back in the time portal.
Yes, definitely. I think so. But no, I had to have the Mario Kart Tanuki Hot Wheels thing because, well, that's just the one I just felt like you don't just see that every day. I feel too. It's just like it's not just Mario in a cart. It's Mario in a special outfit in a cart.
Well, we're at that point now where it's kind of like when you were a kid, you would see like the Ninja Turtles or the Batman, and you like the action figures, and you just want basic Ninja Turtle or basic Batman. You can never find it. It was always skydiving Batman, snow camouflage Batman, farmer Ninja Turtle for some reason.
Yeah, like tax attorney Ninja Turtle. You're like, what?
They're really running out of ideas, but here we are. They probably had, I think they had one of them was dressed like an office supplies, and they had the stereotypical like pocket protector thing or some shit. I have no idea. It was something weird like that. But now we're at the point where Mario is kind of that too. I mean, it's not as hard to find a standard Mario figure, but if I ever go just like looking at Mario figures, it's always kind of like, all right, there's propeller suit Mario, there's Tanuki Mario. I see Tanuki Mario a lot, actually, when it just comes to regular figure stuff. And maybe you'll come across standard Mario, but I have, and we're seeing Mario 3, Mario with the Tanuki ears and tail. I'm like, okay, I gotta get that.
Well, it's one of those ones, like, I think the difference is between, like, I'll say, like, those Ninja Turtles and Batman ones, is because all those variants that they made, you're like, I've never seen Batman wear that before. I've never seen a Ninja Turtle dressed like that. Like, they all just remind me, like, it was just some, like, old guy in an office putting together, like, I don't know, what the fuck the kids like? I don't know, they like farmers and fucking tax attorneys. Put this act.
And samurais, I guess.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Blame me if... I would use that tax attorney if he walked around with a katana, just saying. But,
it was probably the same mindset of a G.I. Joe, because back in the day it was like G.I. Joe firefighter, G.I. Joe, Green Beret, G.I. Joe astronaut. So it's probably like, do the same shit with these fucking turtles, right? And the bat thing? Yeah, okay, why not?
And I think that was this, because, like, it's like those alternate outfits weren't really cool, but this one's like, oh, shit, well, Mario, like, the Tanuki outfit, that's from the game. That's what Mario wears. That's what I want. Where, like, with a Batman one, it was just like, where can I just find regular Batman? Like, I remember when I found a regular Batman action figure, it was such a magical moment, because it was like, oh, it's just Batman in his normal suit, just like the fucking TV show. None of this bullshit, like, camouflage, like, all this other junk that I've, once again, never seen Batman wear in my entire life.
Most I think you can get is like bare-chested sword Batman when he sword fights Ra's al Ghul. I think that was the only one, but that's the one where you point out that one. Like, all right, Dad, I think I'll get this one. He just sees this shirtless, jacked Batman with a shaved chest. He's like, it's gonna turn out gay. I know it.
Yeah, I know exactly. That's just what he's thinking when he sees that. He's like, you sure you don't want the who's this? Talia? Yeah, that looks like what you could want, Ryan.
No, look, he also
no,
comes
but Dad,
with...
that's a girl. Girls are gross.
Besides, the Batman one is a 2-pack. It comes with shirtless Ra's al Ghul holding a sword.
He's older than you, Dad. I don't know what this boy's into, but I really don't like it.
Oh, that was one time it was my logic for like, I needed a Princess Leia one time. Actually, I needed like a Princess Leia action figure, and the only one they had was Slave Leia. So I was like, well, all right, I'll get Slave Leia. All right. And my dad's like, okay, good, he's back on the right track. Okay.
It's like, yeah, that's okay. That's a safe action figure to have. I mean, I kid you not, though. Like having female action figures was really rare back in the day. I mean, I'll even say this on those Mario Kart ones by the Hot Wheels. This day and age, they still don't even have a female one on there. It's like they have like every other character. No Peach, no Daisy. They're like, fuck that. They're Hot Wheels. We seriously, who's like our number one buyer of it? But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, what's like, I kid you not, if there was a Peach one, I kind of want that and so on.
It would vary. There's that time and place where I would see any Mario figure, and just because it was Mario, I would want it, just because, you know. But now I'm at the point where I'm really picky and choosy. Like, I saw flat out just a regular green Yoshi. I was like, that's cool, but I don't feel like I need that. I don't know why. I know when I was a kid, I totally would have bought that without a second thought, but right now, that was like, for some reason, the ones that jump out to me like, oh shit, is that a Shy Guy? That's for some reason that's the one that jumps out at me now.
Well, I remember being as a kid, like I think like the only female action figure I had, really that I could kind of remember. I think I had like a Princess Jasmine one as well too. But I had a Julianne Moore action figure.
Julianne Moore?
Yeah. Can you guess what that one came from? Just sounds so weird. I think it sounded funnier to say it that way though.
Julianne Moore. I'm trying to remember. It's a 90s movie, right?
Yeah, it's a 90s movie.
Oh, fuck.
Featuring Steven Spielberg.
Featuring Steven Spielberg?
Well,
or
directed by Steven Spielberg. Let me rephrase
Oh, right. Jurassic Park.
Yeah, so it was a Jurassic Park figure. But it just sounds funny when you say, like, what do you have? I got a Julianne Moore figure here.
Or you just imagine a little kid like, Dad, what'd you do with my Jeff Goldblum?
He's supposed to be looking at me while I use the restroom. Well, that's fucking weird. That's why I took him away from you. But it's funny. Jeff Goldblum watches you poop. Oh, God. Please don't play with the action figures that way.
We'll get on the main topic in a second, but there's actually... What made it kind of extra creepy is, I think Laura actually showed it to me, posted it to me. It was... sexy Jeff Goldblum when he's all like injured. He had his shirt just ripped open and he's just kind of lounging there with his legs crossed, you know, after the T-Rex attack. Mm-hmm. They had a pop vinyl of that. And I was thinking,
I wanted that one. It like came out and like 2 seconds later it was totally gone, and then it was like $500.
Yeah, and it's so weird how that is such like, that's probably where a lot of like people got, a lot of probably like young women and some guys got their first crush and realized, oh my God, Jeff Goldblum. Oh. And like, I could just totally see someone just, I was like, you know what? It kind of creeps me out, but I almost kind of just want that just for when, you know, I still have roommates, but I like to have a place of my own and just sit that thing directly across from the toilet. So it like watches you just lounging there.
Well, speaking of even Jeff Goldblum sort of doing that, that's actually not out of the question. It's kind of Pizza Boys related or whatnot, but Josh from Pizza Boys, I guess is what I'm saying, he actually had at some point, I think maybe when he was in the military, a poster of Jeff Goldblum across from, like when you close the door, there was just a picture of Jeff Goldblum like looking at you while you're on the toilet. But you didn't know it was there until you closed that door. So if you went there just to take a leak, you might not notice. But then all of a sudden, you close that door and boom, there he is.
That sounds like Josh.
It all sounds like a bunch of dudes in the military be like, oh, Jeff Goldblum's watching you, man.
One time, it was an old boss of mine. I was kind of like, I was cool with him. He's one of those bosses, like one of those just super chill, like down to earth bosses. And I remember we were like, it was back at my old bike job, and we were going by, we were dropping something off to a certain location. Like, can we go somewhere? I have to use the restroom real quick. He goes, we're right around the corner from my apartment. You can use my place. Really? Okay. So I go up to his apartment, and in his apartment, he has this like propaganda poster of Emperor Ming, of like
Ming?
Of Emperor Ming, I believe. And it says like, or Emperor Mao. This is like, the great and powerful Mao is watching you shit.
Just those weird things you just don't always expect when you go to somebody else's place. But yeah, hello, welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan, and that was a fun little opening. So we're not going to be just talking about action figures and random things like that throughout the show. We're actually continuing Mario May. Yeah,
Mario May, and we're going off our Mario marathon here with one, in my opinion, at least in my day, One of the biggest Mario games I've ever played, and actually I probably would say my favorite Mario game of all time, and that is Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I didn't have a Super Nintendo, and I kind of covered this. I'm not sure if it was last episode or episode before, but this was a game I always wanted to play. And there's actually this one period, because my brother and I, we got a Sega Genesis, and our cousin had a Super Nintendo. And we were kind of curious, how does the other side live? So for like 2 months or so, we basically switched systems. So I got to play all his Super Nintendo games, and he got to play our Genesis games. And it was, we had, I mostly just played Super Mario World. That was the only game of interest that he had that I was into. But beyond that, that was also the point where you'd rent a lot of games. I remember for a minute, we rented Super Mario RPG, but I didn't really know what RPG meant. I didn't know what the acronym was. I just thought it was just like, this is a 3D Mario game, where it's all like kind of like top down. But then I was like, oh, it's one of these. I have to read and shit. And I'll be honest, I was one of those kids who didn't really play a whole lot of RPGs till later. And I were playing it and just kind of going through it and liking it, but almost feeling like, this is... But then later, once I actually got more into RPGs, it's like, man, I'd like to go back and try this game out.
Yeah, this was the game that, like... Because, yeah, once again, I was on that Sega side, too, in the 90s for a long time. And oddly enough, everybody I knew at first all had Sega, so it's almost like kind of weird how that sort of was. But once you finally met somebody that had, like, a Super Nintendo and whatnot, it was almost kind of one of those ones, like, for every, like, 4 friends you would find, only maybe one of them would have a Super Nintendo, kind of oddly enough as is. And then it was just... Right when that moment kind of happened, I remember it was like a floodgate opened of like all these other games that like, I mean, it's not that I hadn't played Super Nintendo, but I just hadn't played like deep depths of Super Nintendo, There was just, I had one friend, she had, the handful of Super Nintendo games, and that's sort of what we played, but then all of a sudden I met Cisco, and he just had the plethora of fucking backlog Super Nintendo games, and you go over there like it's a fucking magic house and whatnot, and, N64 games and all this stuff, and it'd be like, so many games to play! Like, I just have a Sega Genesis at the house. I'm living like a peasant.
You just walk into his room and you see the shelf with all the Super Nintendo and Sega games, and you just hear, "If you want to taste paradise."
Well, that was the house where it was like Super Nintendo and N64, and he had even a little bit of Sega Genesis, but I kind of at least opened his eyes to more of those. And then like there was even like PlayStation games, but that was the time period where it's like, yeah, there's a PlayStation there. I mean, there if you want to play it. Because it's oddly kind of weird how that was, where it's like there was that time period where the PlayStation, like I feel like in hindsight, I look back at that PlayStation 1 as I really like that system a lot. But like in the 90s, it was kind of like, oh, a PlayStation. Oh, how about that? Like you're like more like, oh, an N64, dude, that is so fucking cool. Or if you had a Sega Saturn, you'd be like, oh, fuck Sega Saturn. But then you'd be like, oh, PlayStation. Huh, I guess.
Well, PlayStation, there's also that period where they just had a lot of different random developers making stuff. And they still had some big developers, but there's that period of like, it was before Final Fantasy VII, probably before they really had Crash for a minute as their mascot, before Twisted Metal. So just these weird random games are still just trying to figure out how it all works.
Yeah, well, I think like Twisted Metal was pretty much about day one.
Was it? Okay, that was their big one?
Because that was the first game. I remember going to a Circuit City in like 1996, I guess, or whatever. And it was just like, I remember being like, what the fuck is this? And it was like Twisted Metal was on there. It's just like, it's so fucking future! I've never seen 3D before!
Twisted Metal always put me off because there's always that weird, like, bro-y kind of fucked up kid named Travis who's like always like, man, video games are fucking nerds unless it's Twisted Metal. Yeah,
that one sort of fit in that. That was the guy that was, lighting things on fire in his backyard and listening to Insane Clown Posse and, trying to get you to be in his backyard wrestling, posse. But you didn't really trust him because you knew he liked the idea of like pulling barbed wire out at some point.
Yeah, and you're like, that your TV sits on a cinder block. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it doubles as a wrestling, attack too.
Oh. Calls in his little brother, like, Timmy, get in here!
Come on, Ryan, you gotta sacrifice. Sacrifice for the team. You're like, yeah, but we got like 3 people watching, and like one of them's your like grandmother and like in her wheelchair smoking. I don't think that even counts.
And she's like, do it! Don't be a fucking pussy!
But in that time period, here kind of lies Super Mario RPG, and it's really like, I mean, there's other games that kind of finish off the Super Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like there's, I think Kirby comes afterwards, Dreamland 3, and a couple other ones. But it does feel like it's sort of like the last big hoorah game for Super Nintendo. It's kind of like, hey, here's your fucking Mario game. It's fucking huge. It's awesome. We've teamed up with Square. You know what? This will hold you over till you get Mario 64. And don't you be a fucking cheapskate and not buy an N64. Don't you fucking dare do that. We're fucking Nintendo. You fucking support that. If you goddamn fucking buy a Sega Saturn or a PlayStation, so help me God, Shigeru Miyamoto will come to your house and kill you. It's like, oh, what? Jesus Christ.
With that big-ass Kirby hammer.
Yeah, it's like, God, Nintendo got kind of ballsy there. Yeah, like, you saw fucking Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. We held no punches.
Well, it's like, so me playing this game for the comeback, because I got the Super Nintendo, it was always one of those games I wanted to go back and play and try out. Then getting a Super Nintendo Classic, I was like, you know what? Let's this gives me a good excuse. And I played it for a little while and then put it on the back burner just because, life. But then we were like, let's do Mario May and let's cover some more obscure things. Even though this is a well-respected game, it's not one of the first things that come to mind when people talk about Mario. This is one of those games that it definitely deserves. I mean, it gets a lot of credits, but that credit's often, it seems kind of forgotten. People don't really bring it back up. Like, oh yeah, that was such a fun game. Wasn't that interesting? Yeah. You know what I mean? And then they don't really talk about it again.
Well, and I think it's a game that, like, it really appeals to a certain generation hardcore, but to a lot of, like, I feel like almost like people younger than us and kids and so on, like, maybe they get really into Mario, but they probably only see Mario RPG as, like, a YouTube video. You know what I mean? I don't know if they really have played it or things like that. Like, I don't know if it's a game that people go back to as much, so I think there's just that time period of, that initial kind of American RPG fan. Like, Mario RPG is almost the one that really says, it almost introduces it kind of nicely. I mean, I guess you would say there's other games, of course, there's Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest and Phantasy Star beforehand, but those almost felt like that was for, like, a very hardcore person who just, like, discovers it and it's like, and solves, like, a fucking riddle to get into it. It seemed like Mario RPG was kind of like, hey, you like Mario, Mario's popular, well, let's introduce you to a new genre that maybe you've never tried before. You know what? And we'll guide you along the way. It's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to make it as complicated as, like, a Final Fantasy or a Phantasy Star or something like that. Like, I know we tried it with Mystic Quest, Final Fantasy. Obviously, that one didn't work as well as we thought it was going to.
I think there's something about this game. It really makes me actually want to go back, because I've had Paper Mario for the N64. I really liked that one. And I went out and bought Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door for GameCube, and like got maybe 2 dungeons in and never went back to it. I mean, I liked it, but it just, that thing back when you're young. It doesn't happen as much now, but back when I was younger, you'd have money to just blow on because, you didn't have rent or nothing. So just be like, okay, cool. So you buy like 3 games at once, and then, 2 of them, one of them you never finish, and that was unfortunately Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door. But playing this game, since it's kind of similar mechanics, a lot of those games pull from this. It kind of makes you want to go back and try those ones out again.
Yeah, and it's like the thing about the Paper Marios, I remember, like, I enjoyed that.
You were against it, I remember.
Well, the main thing was, it always felt like it just was not Mario RPG. I think that was the whole thing, is like, you play that game, and you go like, it's not bad, but boy, is it not Mario RPG. Like, because I think the thing what makes Mario RPG kind of good is, like, you could say it's a little bit more of a toned down, I guess, RPG, but it's still at the same time, like, it's not just, like, super hand-holding. It's not doing the thing where, like, because, I don't know, Paper Mario's like, what, I can't count above 10? Like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
You start off at 10, but then by the end of that, you're higher numbers and all that kind of stuff.
You don't even, like, start off at 10. You're doing, like, 1 and 2 damage, like, for, like, the first half of the game.
I mean, like, 10 HP or whatever. But, I mean, as the game goes on, of course, it really goes up, and you're doing, like, 60 and 80 damage and all that kind of stuff. But it does start off like that, and it has a lot of the same basic principles, but at the same time, the only thing that kind of... It's not so much the look, like the cartoony look that game has. Mm-hmm. It's more just the paper thing, how they flip the 2-dimensional thing. And I know that's kind of the theme, but at the same time, like, you can kind of go without that part. But, whenever they turn, they just have the little, like, 2D flip thing.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's not even really the look. I don't know, it's just like, as a package, I felt like it was kind of one of those games where it, like, kind of did, like, 2 steps back, and it was almost that sort of thing where you're like, I guess you kind of need Square. That was just sort of what it felt like. It felt like the talent fucking left. I hate to say that with like when you got Nintendo sitting there, but it almost felt like just for that certain genre, the fucking talent left the room. And I'm not saying Paper Mario is not a good game. I still enjoy it. I just don't think it's like, it doesn't have that legendary feel like Mario RPG. And I think that's the thing is I know everybody is like one of those ones like you would love to have a Mario RPG 2, just exactly it. And I think the only way you're going to do it is if you have Square, there, but who knows? Square probably doesn't care to touch something like that anymore, but you never know. You never know.
Hopefully they come back. I mean, a lot of companies are going like, okay, we'll give you a nice little dose of nostalgia. Here's Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's going to be $60. But I could see them maybe not right away, but maybe in time. Weirder things have happened. Weirder things have got made. So I can see them possibly going back and giving an official Mario RPG too. But at the same time, Nintendo's got a lot of pride. I can see them just trying to like, no, Paper Mario's the new thing.
Well,
or Mario and Luigi,
yeah, and they did the Mario and Luigi ones, and it's like those are one of those ones where I've always kind of wanted to play those. And
those ones are fun.
They always look like they're better than Paper Mario, but still not all the way to the Mario RPG-ness. It still looks like a cool game, but like it still kind of looked like, oh, once again, Mario's doing like 3 damage. What the fuck is that bullshit? Like,
they incorporate a little bit more of the that one. It does like it's more of that kind of active, action-based RPG in a sense of like where the bad guy stands there and you can almost dodge nearly any attack. It's like the bad guy can be standing there and he'll do a little motion to let you know who's he going to attack, Mario or Luigi. And then you have like A controls Mario, B controls Luigi, so jumping and avoiding, and then the timed bonus attacks and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of pulls some of that from Mario RPG as well, which at the time, the timed attacks and whatnot, that wasn't a thing up until this game, was it? That you know of at least?
No, the timed attacks, that was pretty much all tied in to Mario RPG, and it came from like there's almost like some game for children in Japan. There was like a laptop thing that you did like a rhythm. Almost sounds like fucking like early days like Dance Dance Revolution or like Guitar Hero, but like it was like a laptop looking thing that you press buttons like Simon or something like that. And they kind of said, oh, that was kind of neat. Let's throw that into Mario. And I think that I always thought that was one of the coolest features. And it's like you almost never see that in very many RPGs. But the fact that like, okay, I do a little bit more extra damage if I time my A right there, or if when I'm being attacked, you know what I mean, I can kind of block right as I time it and so on and take some less damage. And it's weird how like almost other than Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi use that, but beyond that, like almost no other game uses it. It's the only few ones I can find is the Sonic the Dark Brotherhood Chronicles. That actually plays like Mario RPG. And then the South Park games, because I remember when those came out, I was like, oh fuck. I'm like, the first thing I thought was like, dude, this is literally like Mario RPG, but South Park characters. That is so cool.
Well, I could see them trying that because, South Park seems a little bit more random, but I could see them just wanting to maybe stand, like kind of, because that is a traditional turn-based when they add in that Mario RPG element, so I could see Matt and Trey probably playing that and being a fan of that and incorporating it into the game. Mm-hmm. And then Sonic, I mean, I guess if you're taking a character that's not traditionally roleplay and putting him in a role-playing game, I guess it really makes sense to, make it a little bit more active. Because the idea of a Sonic RPG, because, the whole thing with Sonic, the thing that always seemed weird to me is because it's like, it's Sonic. You move fast, but you take turns battling, though I'm sure it's a fun game.
Yeah, no, that one actually is really cool. And it's one of those ones like it's totally in that same Mario RPG like style, and so it works really sweet. But that kind of like pressing buttons and so on. I think the whole thing is that like we all know that no matter what turn-based like traditional turn-based RPGs, it only appeals to a certain audience. That certain audience loves the living hell out of it. But I can even remember being like in 1999 or something like that, and there'd always be that kid like, oh dude, Final Fantasy's fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like, why they just stand there? If I was up there, I'd just kick fucking Cloud in the dick and it'd be over with. You're like, yeah, that's not how it's gonna work. He's like, he's not fucking moving. He's gonna wait for his fucking time bar up there. Like, what the fuck kind of game is that?
I remember, because every so often you'd get into those stupid, this isn't even the playground argument. This is literally freshman year of high school argument where we should have been past this to some extent. But I remember this one kid, a friend of mine, I love the guy, but I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I literally said that to him because you were talking about like, oh yeah, you could fucking people in Resident Evil can kill people in Final Fantasy no problem. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? He's just like, oh, they have like rocket launchers. Like, People in Final Fantasy can like summon gods and like, you know, like take a fucking meteorite to the face and get back and keep on fighting. She's like, yeah, well they just stand there and play. It's like, are you fucking high right now, dude? I literally I was like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I like slipped it, like, you're not fucking okay, I'm done. I just had to walk away.
I think there's just that audience out there, and they just can't. I think it's because the thing about like RPGs, I think when you play, or the people that like it, you kind of realize it's like they're not just stand there. It's just that's part of the strategy of the game. You know what I mean? Is that you have turns that go back and forth, but there's just some people that just like their brain just can't comprehend that. Be like, why are they standing there? I don't get it. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, like, even as a kid, I knew that in real life, to not just stand there, my turn, your turn. I knew that within the narrative of the game, there is some big brawl going on. This is just what we see right here. So I think there's some people that just, for whatever reason, can't get their head around that, or they just don't have the patience for it. I feel like turn-based RPG stuff is kind of coming back in mobile games, but I think that's the only place people really like to play them at is mobile games.
Yeah, and that almost doesn't really... I always said that never really sort of counts. You know what I mean? Because I know that like the DS has always had, you know, good turn-based games and so on. But I remember for that long search when I was like, I just want a fucking console RPG that's turn-based. And it took so goddamn long to really find one that was full-on excellent. Like, it wasn't until Dragon Quest XI came out that it was like, oh, finally, we get this. But I understand. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like that thing that's like, they're appealing to a very marginal audience that likes that kind of stuff. I mean, you know, because here, I'll say this, even in 1999, that audience was still super fucking small. You know, it's always kind of been that way, you know, and I think that's also where sort of Mario RPG was kind of doing the thing where they're like, okay, we have the turn-based mechanics here, but it's also going to kind of play like a Mario game, you know, in 3D, which also that time period, it's like, you never had something like that before.
The only thing without that, so here's the thing, I don't know where it stands among all my favorite Mario games. Mm-hmm. This is probably one of the best turn-based RPG games I've ever played. The thing about a game like this, though, you almost kind of have to play it when you're younger, not to fully enjoy it, but I guess that get that sentimental attachment. But I did find myself really liking the game, and I think getting the the Super Nintendo Classic, that game enough is worth getting this thing. So, the only thing that kind of there's a few things about the game that kind of bother me. One of the things is when it does want you to do some platforming, the camera is just at such a weird angle, and it doesn't have that momentum that Mario games do. I mean, generally for most stuff in this game, you don't need that momentum. But this game, it feels really weird when you're trying to platform, and it's so easy. There are moments where I just got stuck trying to hop from the next platform and then having to start over, land over here, land over there, just because the camera is at that kind of like, you know, angled, like that angled bird's eye view. So for that reason, I was just like, God damn it. You know, there's so many moments where I just had to kind of do this part over and over. But it's nothing enough to like totally grade the game down. If that was the whole game, then yeah. But the thing is, there's only a few moments. There's like, okay, try this out, you know?
Yeah, and I will say, I think that's also, since you're coming to the game kind of late in the game, or that's not weird to say repeat at the same time, but whatever. Since you're coming to it later in life, I think that's where it kind of gets you. Like, to me, like, that wouldn't even cross my mind until you brought that up. And I think that just comes from just playing the game ever since, like, the 90s. It's one of those ones, like, I think also that time period, too, it's like, even though I guess I probably played Mario 64 probably about the exact same time I played Mario, or Mario RPG, but, you know, if you think of it in that sort of sense, it's like, it's proto-Mario RPG, or Mario 64, and you really didn't have any 3D games too much to speak of. Like, it sounds odd. You know what game really... I know this one's not an RPG, but you know what it always kind of feels like, though I will say the other one probably plays a little bit smoother as far as the action goes, is Sonic's 3D Blast.
Yeah, Sonic's 3D Blast a little... I remember playing that one, and that one I think you're just so happy playing a new Sonic game that was in 3D. That was the thing about that one. But maybe now, because I'll be honest, whenever I go back and play Sonic's Mega Collection, I barely play that one. I might play it for a minute, but I barely play it. The weird thing is, of all games, like Sonic Adventure, well, this is going to seem weird and random off topic for a second, Sonic Adventure pulls music in redone versions from songs from Sonic 3D Blast, not the ones you'd expect it to be, not traditional Green Hill or anything from Sonic 2 or 3. It pulls songs from Sonic Blast and remixes them. Like the first level you play as a Sonic, that's like a redone version of the first song from Sonic 3D Blast.
Oh, you're right. That is true. You know, that's that's another one of those games where it's like, I remember, yeah, when I first got Sonic 3D Blast, you see like that fucking opening cutscene in it, you're like, oh my fucking god, like, move out of the way, 3DO, I don't need you.
We are in the future.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I mean, I will say this, like, probably get Mario RPG, like, literally, like, in 1996 would have been super fucking mind-blowing. I mean, playing it, like, just a couple years later, it already was, like, pretty darn amazing, but I could see where, like, if you would have got that, you know, pre-having an N64, I mean, I guess you'd have PlayStation and Saturn that you could have played at the same time, so maybe it would have felt like a little bit of a step down because of those two systems being out already, but let's just say all you had was Super Nintendo, you could see where this game would have just been, like, top-notch, you know, just coming right after Donkey Kong Country, right after Sonic's 3D Blast, or actually, I don't know that, I think they're both the same year, though.
Well, I was going to say, this game right here, because I rented it for a minute and played it, and the thing is, I was interested in the game, but I was also one of those things. It was also one of those things like, oh, it's one of the I didn't know the word for it at the time, but one of these more strategy-oriented games.
Like, I don't know what the word is. You mean RPG? Yeah, that one, I guess.
I didn't know what RPG. I didn't know that was an acronym for anything. It's like, okay, Mario RPG, whatever, you know. And then playing the game.
Or if you played Duke Nukem, you'd be like, Mario has a rocket-propelled grenade launcher in this one.
Yeah. I'm tired of your shit, Bowser!
Just like that's the opening as Mario's just out of the front of the castle. Yo, fuck you, Bowser! Oh god, he's getting serious.
No. Whoa, is that Pantera in there? Well, it's pixelated in 16-bit, but yeah.
But yeah, that's them over there rocking out in the corner.
Like a pre-rendered Pantera, just like 3 motions going up and down. No, but there's I think that even though I probably would have been like overwhelmed by the game, I still probably would have just liked to see the game, just because the thing about Mario RPG games, not just Mario RPG, but the Mario RPG games, Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario, they always expand the world a little bit more, because even though the platforming Mario games are probably some more of my favorite ones, those are the ones where it's always just Mario's running and just killing whatever he sees. And if it's not Peach, Toad, Yoshi, or Luigi, anything you see, you essentially kill. Where in these games, they get across of like, oh, no, they're not all bad. They're not all bad. There's like, there's a village of Goombas over here that don't work for Bowser. There's some Koopa Troopas over here that don't work for Bowser too. There's actually a city of reformed villains trying to get by. And these games are always interesting because they always showed more of the Mario world. And they always kind of added more story to it, which is always needed for an RPG.
Yeah, and I think that's what made Mario RPG such just a cool experience, is that you literally didn't have, like, in a sense, too much story other than the Mario Brothers movie. That was the most amount of story you had in any Mario story prior to Mario RPG. And this one right here just fleshed out, like, here's the whole, like, Mushroom Kingdom, here's all these worlds you get to go to, you know, here's classic characters, here's new characters. And what I kind of even liked in Mario RPG too is, like, they would even pull characters that sometimes don't even get, like, kind of like a lot of return cameos and other stuff. Like, sometimes there's some Mario 2 enemies that just don't always appear. And I think that could be one of those ones where it's like Shigeru Miyamoto's like, well, that American Mario 2 is not really my Mario 2, so we don't need to pull that in these other ones. But I think Square was kind of like, well, some of those characters are kind of cool. Let's put them in this one, you know?
Well, it's like, thinking back on it, because I remember seeing Shy Guys. Like, okay, Shy Guys. But then think about it in context. Like, wait a minute. Well, Shy Guys really weren't used a whole lot outside of Mario 2 up until, like, recently. It wasn't until probably, like, Yoshi's Island, I think, they started bringing Shy Guys back. And from there on in, because they weren't a villain that was commonly used for a while. So now, I think, you know, they're in a lot more games now, of course, but I think that right there is just one of those things that's just like, okay, well, here's a game, we're going to go to all corners of Mario's universe, and not only you get Shy Guys, there's a Birdo. Oh, what? Oh, I guess, okay, so there's a Birdo here, and I remember, like, I guess if you really want to do a little bit more thinking into it, this is probably not too far away from Wart's, for like Nimbus Kingdom or whatever it's called, Nimbus Land. That's probably only like a few miles away from Wart's Kingdom, because that was up in the sky. So that's probably where they got this Birdo egg.
Yeah. You know, and I always kind of feel like if they were going to make like a true Mario RPG 2 sequel, you never know. There might have been stuff in there like Wart and so on. And I know that like there was kind of a game in the works for Mario RPG 2, and then Square's like, oh, PlayStation's offering us CDs. See ya.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I remember seeing there's like the one single still of that, and the backgrounds looked kind of like how they did for Paper Mario, but the characters were just like fine-tuned, like Mario World sprites, is what it looks like. And I think that would have looked very awesome on the 64.
Yeah, I think that would have been kind of a neat look too, because it's kind of had its own unique thing going on, and yeah, just such kind of a bummer that didn't happen. But back in the Mario RPG though, it's just there's so many neat things that I think kind of happen in this game, and almost are kind of like Mario first that you could almost take for granted if when you come back to it. But just small things like another thing that I was thinking about when just playing it too was when you found like the little cameos throughout the game, because this is still a pre-Smash Brothers era. We never really saw, other than Mario maybe showing up in a sports game and being a referee or something like that, there wasn't like this whole crossover thing too much in Nintendo games. I guess one of the biggest ones maybe beforehand was in, Link's Awakening. All of a sudden you go down a pipe and you're like, there's Goombas down here. What the fuck? Like,
there's a chomp chain.
Yeah, there's a chain chomp in there too. You gotta go fucking find him and whatnot, and then he comes with you and he eats everything along the way.
And then in this one, there's also this is one of those things because when I first saw you fight off like one of the gorillas, and you realize it's made to look like Donkey Kong, so they probably got this thing from Donkey Kong Island or whatever. It was just like one of those things like, whoa, what the fuck? Just because it was one of these things where now it doesn't seem like a big deal because now you see that version of Donkey Kong in every Mario crossover sports title, whatever. But at that point in time, he wasn't seen around. So when Donkey Kong Country came out, you assume that it's like, okay, this is probably the same world as Mario, but we're just focusing on where Donkey Kong's at. And then this game's like, no, they are the same world. That's not Donkey Kong, but that dude comes from the same island. And that was also fucked up because I'm assuming that he wasn't there by choice because he was when he fought one of those gorilla things, they all had chains and shit. It's like, okay, that's a little dark. I got a feeling that this dude's not doing this on his own.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, Smithy just like captures a fucking Donkey Kong and sends him out. You know what I mean? It's just, they go out there just like in fucking King Kong and just like capture these Donkey Kongs and like put them in like a ship. Bring them back to a park in San Jose like the Lost World. But yeah, just like the idea is like, yeah, there's like a Kong out there from like kind of like the islands and whatnot. And then it's also like you find Samus at one point and she's just like sleeping in there and she's talking about like, oh, I just need to rest up from Mother Brain and whatnot. And even just having Link in one of the beds too. It's not fucking weird to say like that. But fucking, you wake up one morning and fucking Link's there. You're like, what the fuck happened last night? I fucked this fairy boy.
Link's like, hey, I ain't Hyrule.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I don't know these people.
What happens in Mushroom Kingdom stays in Mushroom Kingdom.
That's until years later they all participate in Smash Brothers. Oh, fuck, that's the kid.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, that's the kid I woke up with in that one town, Shit, I don't remember what the town was called, you know what I mean? But when, you wake up one of those days, just so much fighting, they all run together. But,
they just kind of like don't make eye contact, like, hey, they act as if they've never seen each other before. It's
yeah.
like, dude, my fucking, both Zelda and Peach are there. Like, you guys are acting weird around each other. Like, it's nothing. It's just fucking, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry. It's like, just punch him in the face.
You're being weird. No, I'm not. You're being weird.
I thought, you know what? I thought that was Zelda the whole time. Just saying. Well, why is this fucking game called The Legend of Zelda? That's confusing.
It's called Zelda, but it has this guy on the cover. And let's be honest, he looks a little feminine. I'm just saying it.
I mean, shit. Even like put him and Zelda next to each other, I still can't tell the difference. They're wearing
one's green. That's the only difference I can see.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like even throughout the game too, you also find other little small things like in the fire, I guess, temple, whatever you want to call it. When you're at the guy's shop in the back, he's like, oh, there's like a fucking R-Wing back there, and there's a couple of F-Zero cars and so on.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh shit, it's all fucking tied together. Like, fuck, it's all there. At some point, they're coming together. You know what? I have this theory, man. Fucking 1996. But guess what, man? Give it like 3 years, man. They're gonna all fight each other. Fucking know it.
Yeah, that seemed like one of those things at the time. Like, that's impossible. They could never do anything like that in a Nintendo game. Nintendo,'s like, fuck it. Yeah, why not?
You're like, fuck.
Throw in a lightsaber, too. Do we have the rights to that? No, we will.
Yeah, exactly. We'll put it all in there. It's going to work. Come on.
If I end up talking over you, sorry about that. The audio went out for a minute. Some of the characters in this game, let's talk about them for a minute. Mello is one of those characters, because I remember before I played the game, everybody's like, fuck Mello. I can't stand Mello. And then turning the game on, I'm like, he's my least favorite of the party, but I didn't really hate him. You kind of feel bad for him, but it's also, he seems kind of like that. He's kind of like that friend. You go, he's your friend, but you're just like, dude, we're gonna go to this party, just be cool. Well, what do you mean? Just be cool, just stop. Like, what do I want to do? Well, first off, stop that lingering voice you have, and stop being so shrill, and just take it easy, all right? Don't worry about it. Don't try so hard. Okay.
You know what, Mallow, here's the thing. Just don't fucking say anything. You know what? Just be quiet. Just play it cool. What's cool? Oh, Jesus Christ, Mallow. Just shut the fuck up. Don't make me fucking slap you out here. I will fucking slap the shit out of you. Hey, Mario's just like slapping him like, we're going to this fucking party and I don't want you to fucking ruin it, Mallow. You know what I mean? You fucking tadpole, cloud, whatever the fuck you are.
Frickin' Rosalina's in there. Fox McCloud's my wingman. But he's out doing, like, some Smash Brothers tournament, so you're here, so you're not gonna make me look fucking good, okay, man? Just shut the fuck up and just hang out.
If you fucking cry and start making the whole place rain, so help me fucking God. Well, that's the thing, is, like, I'll say this, Mallow's never bothered me. Like, it's one of those ones, like, he's never been, like, I think maybe some people just really dislike, I don't dislike him one bit. He is totally your fat fuck friend who's kind of he's like that guy that, like, you hang out with him, and you know what? Maybe you and him have a good time together. You've played some video games. It's fun and so on. But then it's almost like you don't almost want to really introduce him to like your other friends, or take him anywhere for that matter. Like, it's best just to keep it at home. It's like he's cool to go over to his house and play his fucking N64. We hang out, but he really just. He's got no social skills. I don't think I could go anywhere past this. He wanted to go to the movie theater the other day, and I was like, you know what? I think that's too far. Somebody might see us.
Well, even then, he's just like, what? Like, a trailer comes out, and it's like, oh, that looks really good! Like, fuck, it's every trailer he says that, and then, oh, he's the bad guy? Oh, wow! Like, Mel, fuck. Okay.
Didn't you see the fucking last movie that was already introduced and he was the bad guy?
I'm sorry, I get them confused.
I'm gonna go talk to the projectionist. No, you don't just go fucking talk to the projectionist.
He just goes out the little window. Hey! His hands reach up. His hands reach up, and he just tries to peek in the window. Ow! It's so bright. His face is.
Why is the glass hot?
You just see hey Mario. He just sees the exit door just closing,
just flapping behind him. Tick, 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 tick. But no, I will say at the same time though, Mallow is one of those ones once again, doesn't bother me. He is that person, but the second that you kind of get Bowser, you're like, get the fuck out of here.
It is very much that. I was still using him here and there. Like when we go back to his kingdom, I thought that I was in some mindset of maybe he's going to be strong since we're on his home turf. Technically, maybe he'll be strong at some of his characters, and I kind of like the whole idea of he's like, it's very obvious that he's like, I'm a frog. You just look at him like, is this motherfucker a frog? And everyone, all the frogs around them are like, yeah, he's a frog. Okay. like, should we tell him? No, he'll figure it out. I don't think he's gonna.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's like he's sitting at the fucking head of the table, and he's not even a fucking frog, that motherfucker. Like, us tadpoles have been growing up here for fucking years, and this puffy, white, little fucking pink-haired motherfucker gets to sit at the head of the table.
They all start slipping like soaps in their sleeping bags. Like, we're gonna Full Metal Jacket this motherfucker.
Just wakes up out like, hey guy, puts his hand in his mouth. Shh. Whack.
Oh, why is it raining? We didn't plan this out. It's fucking raining again. Oh shit.
Oh. I mean, I know we're tadpoles and all, but I just hate the fucking rain. You know what I mean? I know I'm swimming in water right now. There's a difference between water and rain. I'm just gonna say it.
I forgot where it took place for a second. And then there's Gino, who everyone says is their favorite character from this game, and I think he's a really good character. I guess of all the original characters that came strictly from this game, he's probably maybe my second favorite, or maybe he's my first favorite. I don't know. One of my favorite characters is a character we don't even get. I'll come to him later, but one of my favorite characters in the game is a character we don't even get to play as. But Gino, I thought his whole concept is cool. He is kind of like, sort of like the angsty anime guy who always crosses his arms, and it's like it's hard to be badass when you're a doll, but Gino manages to pull it off. The idea
It
that
sounds
this
like
is
the Gino movie tagline. It's hard to be badass when you're a doll. Just
But if you're a doll with a machine gun for an arm, it's a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. Take that, Barrett from Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, I'm fucking talking to you. Challenging you, bro.
Well, the whole concept of like, like, okay, like it works for, maybe it wouldn't work for a whole lot of things, but I guess it's this whole Pinocchio thing for Mario, wish upon a star kind of thing. And I think the girl there's a little girl that wished that Mario would help save the world and this and that. And then that spirit of that wish goes into this doll that little girl had, and he joins along with them for the ride. And the idea is just that it's just, he himself is not the doll, but just the idea that this badass spirit took over the body of this doll, made it bigger. And that's just, he's like one of the characters. It's like, he has really high attacks, but really weak defense. So a few times I had to take him on my party, but I was always happy whenever I could have my party. By the end, I was mostly just using Mario, Peach, and Bowser. But Gino was always fun to use too. I always liked his character. And sometimes we were talking about the timing attacks. Sometimes it took a minute to figure out, like, whenever a character got a new weapon, how to time out their attack just right, because the animation would change. So I was like, okay, what's the... where does it go now? But Gino was always pretty easy to figure out because his is always just shooting no matter what.
Yeah, well, that's always kind of how it is. There's like some of them that like will kind of work better. Like the timing in them's easier. Like I always feel whenever Mario has a shell item, those ones are like you never miss the timing on those ones ever. But sometimes like the punching ones can sometimes be a little bit more trickier and so on.
Yeah, punching too. I didn't even realize this. I didn't realize till like the last two. Like this would make the game so much easier. But I didn't realize healing spells that they would like you can get a little bonus by timing those out too. I didn't realize that until the last two dungeons.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of weird. Like, yeah, a lot of those spells also have weird timing in them too that you don't think about. And those ones are like, especially when it comes to blocking, it's like sometimes blocking those ones, it's like you really got to kind of figure that one out, or you got to sit there and kind of wait. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, blocking magic was always kind of hard. Blocking physical attacks I got down pretty good. But Gino, yeah, the thing about him is I was using him for a while, and at some point, like, once you get back to Nimbus Land, I got switched between him and Bowser, essentially, once Bowser became part of the party. But once I get to Nimbus Land, and there's that part where you fight that poshy drunk bitch, and her fat like bird grabs the guy in the middle slot, and you have to have that final that battle just between the two of them. Like Gino, he has weak defense, so I had to refight that match because I didn't have Peach there to heal him, and he has weak defense. Like shit, I gotta swap him out for Bowser next time I do this.
Yeah, because that's kind of how it is. It's like I kind of noticed that this time. It's maybe just because I hadn't played the game in a while, but it's almost like, okay, Bowser's got the best like health, Gino's got the best attack, but kind of weak defense. Mallow's of course got like all the black magic for the most part. Peach has got all the white magic, and then Mario's just all around badass because he's fucking Mario.
Yeah, so in Bowser, he was like, it's not even that he was like the best fighter, but since he had the best health and his attacks were still strong, like he had strong attacks, but I feel like but Gino was a little stronger, but at the same time, Bowser was still, his attacks were still worthwhile. They still did a little bit of damage. And then the other thing about that is going on to, actually, first off, let's finish up Gino. I'll be honest, I got a little sentimental at the end when Gino's like, well, this is it for me. And his like, spirit has to leave the doll and fly off into space. Like that's all I have time for, folks. Sorry.
Yeah, it just kind of takes on off. You're like, oh shit, don't leave us, Gino. Like I gotta go fucking prepare the Star Road. It's a lot of work.
I'm just one star spirit. Yeah.
I remember like back in the 90s, I felt kind of like when I was putting together my Nintendo account online, I was like, dude, I gotta name myself Gino, dude. Nobody's gonna have that fucking name. I'm gonna be so fucking cool on the internet.
And did they have Gino?
No, I was like, well, I probably might have been
wow.
somebody else, but I had that one. Like, I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm taking that name. like as my username on Nintendo.com. Because, that just seemed like kind of the thing to have. Just like, oh, well, fuck, Mario RPG. Because that is still at that time period, it's like, it's still kind of, even early on, Mario RPG already felt kind of like, sort of a cult, kind of like hidden gem game, And I think it just was ones just, unless you were really into RPGs, you probably just didn't have that one, Obviously, I know it sold really well, so I'm not saying it's not like people didn't just buy it that maybe never played an RPG in their entire life, but it still wasn't as common, I guess, as find like, a copy of like Mario All-Stars or something.
Well, I'll say that getting this this was one of the main reasons I got a Super NES in the first place. A Super NES Classic in the first place, just because first off I was curious about the game, but the other part was Super Mario World. That's probably my favorite game of all time. So those two were reason enough to spend the $70 plus bonus games as well, of course. So, but yeah, this game definitely is a gem. It does stick out. Like, I'll say this. Let's go on more about the characters. Bowser, we kind of covered him, but like just his fighting style, where he's strong and he's burly, and I kind of wish you kind of held on to the chain chomp for a while, just because I think that's a cool idea for a weapon for Bowser to have. Makes total sense. The fact of him swinging around a chain chomp rather than just a ball and spikes. He has those in his castle too, but the idea that they actually get across in this game, Bowser has more of a side. Like, he is still selfish, he still is an asshole, but when it comes to other monsters, he sees a side to him that he can reach out to. Like, they kind of went out of their way and made Bowser a little bit more of like a character in this, rather than just being, oh, I'm so mad, and stomps his feet,
Well, it's like he's almost kind of an emotional character and stuff, and it's like, he doesn't like the idea of anybody seeing him weak, and it's like one of those ones that even though his castle's been taken over, he's kind of like lying to everybody, like, oh, no, it's okay, we got it all taken care of, it's just, just kind of, had to rent my house out for a bit, you know how it is, kind of like one of those like timeshare things,
An Airbnb thing.
I don't really need the money, but you never know. You might need it for a later date. I'm just kind of putting it into an investment. I got my Edward Jones guy helping me out here.
Well, even the thing with him, because he doesn't want to look.
I heard you were fucking kicked out of your house by a giant sword. Well, fuck you. Where'd you hear that from? That's fucking propaganda.
Pulls out like a little mini like microphone. It's like, kill this motherfucker. No one can know.
No one can fucking know. Don't you fucking dare say that.
like a sniper shot through the window comes and gets him.
Yeah, just all that kind of stuff.
No, but like something else about him though is, even though they get across that he does not want to look weak, which is always something about Bowser, but the fact is that he kind of like, he keeps an eye out for his soldiers at the same time. Like, not all soldiers, clearly, because a lot of them just go and die for him. He's like, whatever. But there are some where he's just like, oh, hey, yeah, after the castle got taken over, I had a couple of kids. I needed to open up this shop over here. I hope there's no hard feelings. And you see he, for a minute, needs to kind of like bottle it up. He's like, no, I understand. I'm happy for you. Like, he doesn't want to say it, but he's like, okay. Like, there's some things that Bowser is actually willing to put aside, and the idea that he's like, okay, well, technically I'm not helping Mario's helping me, is his thought process of a lot of this.
I would love, there's that line that's like towards kind of like the end of the game and whatnot, where he's like, what? Like, come on, you gotta like help me fix the castle and whatnot. And he's like, Mario, don't you dare go fucking stop Smithy. You gotta go, you're a Koopa Troopa member now. Go up there and start fixing like the house.
like then Mario's like, no. He's like, oh, it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I just love how it's just kind of like, it's just like, that's what I kind of like about Bowser. It's just one of those ones like, he just doesn't want to let anybody know that, like, you know what, shit fucking happened. Shit got real out there all of a sudden, I thought it was just another day where, I was going to steal Peach, try to impregnate her. Yeah, I know it sounds fucking weird, play Mario Sunshine. And, Mario was going to come in, and stop it. That's just kind of what we do. It's like our thing, you know what I mean? Some people play fantasy football. We just kind of get together. I steal his girlfriend for a while. He thinks something bad's going to happen and comes and kicks my ass. It's kind of fun, but I mean, he didn't really kick my ass. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. I let him kick my ass.
What if he's just more of like, he's trying really hard to get to Mario, so that's why he's going to Peach. Like, he's not into Peach. He's more into Mario. He's got a thing for that stash and sideburns. And he's just trying to like, how can I get to Mario? How can I get him to pay attention to me? Oh, look, I stole your girlfriend again. Oh no. Oh, I'm so into her. Please come by the castle.
For a second, then of course, sword fucking comes down, fucking kicks us all out to God knows where.
And then we got Peach, and this is probably the first time where, other than like Mario, I think because Super Mario 2, that's more of just coincidence because they're like, well, there's a girl character, it's in a Mario game, just make it look like Peach. Okay, or Toadstool at that time. Like, all right, cool, whatever. And the thing about her in this one is, I guess, is the first time in the games where she came across as like a badass character, and she's like, no, I can do shit too. And the thing about her is, when you first get her, she's like the weakest character, and she doesn't have that high defense. But so I was kind of like, should I even bother with her? And you texted me like, no, you're gonna need her later, trust me. So level her up. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So I did, and then by the end of it, she wasn't as strong as Mario or Bowser, but she was dealing out almost as much as damage as them. And she still had all the like spells to heal everybody back up. Like, she's essential as the game goes on. Like, there's no way I would be able to beat certain bosses without her.
Yeah, no, Peach is, totally the whole way through. Like, even this time around, like, I don't know, I guess I just maybe never did it like this before, but, like, I equipped her with, like, the lazy shell. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go try to battle Q-Lex, who's, like, the toughest hidden boss in the kind of Mario game. I'm like, I'm only at, like, little over level 20. And I've never done this before. I've always went to like level 30, prepared, I put my time in, you know what I mean? I got my union card and made sure that I was prepared and ready to fight Q-Lex. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to give it a go. And if I don't do it, well, you know what? I guess I'll train up and do it again and whatnot. And I went there and I was just like, when I was battling Q-Lex at that level, I was like, oh shit, like he can't, like he fucking just raped Bowser and Mario just right off the bat. They're just fucking laying there dead. And I was like, you know what? After a while, I was like, it's not even worth fucking bringing them back because every single time I bring them back, they get killed. But with that lazy shell on Peach, like, dude, she's literally taking like 1 damage, if not sometimes 0 damage. And it was one of those like slow RPG processes where it's like, okay, well, I only got Peach, and because of that lazy shell, she can only do so much damage. But we're just gonna slowly go at it. And as those crystals kind of went on, they all started to slowly run out of magic, so then they couldn't do any attacks. Then Q-Lex ran out of magic, couldn't do any attacks, and I just sat there with Peach and just went bop, 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 just kept hitting him, and then beat him. I was like, the fuck? I beat Q-Lex with just Peach alone at like only like level 21? Get the fuck out of here. That would have made my like 10-year-old self or 12-year-old self be like, what, man? No, that can't happen. How'd you do that?
Well, I'm just thinking about that right there because there was that point in the game where Peach was like needed just for about any major boss, because near like the last 2 dungeons or so, you come across those villains that can kill your guys in 1 to 2 hits. Mm-hmm. So you find yourself playing a little bit of that game of like, okay, I got to time this out right. Peach heals them. They attack, and since she has weak damage, since she only doesn't do a whole lot of damage, she only does like this much. I kind of need them to do most of the attacking. But you always, every so often, find yourself in that corner where it's just like you only have enough time to bring them back to life, just for them to get killed, or maybe if they slip up and miss an attack or something like that, you can heal them, and then from there you can get your other guy healed. And after a while, because it was always that attack group hug, which kind of healed everybody just enough. But at some point, it just became, I realized, oh wait, this is where I can time, there's her resurrection attack, come back, where if the little star comes down and hits him, and if you tap it right at the right moment, that your guy can go back to full health. Like, it almost makes sense just to let them die, and then resurrect them with come back, and then let them go on from there. So that almost became my main strategy, just Mario and Bowser constantly dying, and Peach bringing them back to life.
Yeah, and that works really well. And it's that kind of like, I'll say this, about like 95% of RPG battles, doesn't matter what kind of game it is, that seems always like the total like ever classic thing is you have 2 people attacking and you have 1 person just constantly healing. Like, that feels like you could pretty much win almost most of the battles in a game with that kind of simple strategy, just continuously going. Every once in a while you get something that's a little bit tougher where you got to kind of think it out a little bit more and start using some other spells and so on. But in this game, that was kind of mostly what it was. It's like Peach heals them, and it's kind of like Peach took care of everybody. Peach's like, what? Fucking pussies, can't take an attack? Look at me, fucking Peach. Take 1 damage.
Gonna just go up to these bad guys, pimp slap!
And even like that Q-Lex thing too, and like speaking of Q-Lex, if you don't know what that really is, that's another one of those ones where it's like another, like, almost in a sense, like in the 90s, it was fucking a mind-blowing thing where you're like, oh, what the fuck? Here's this villain that looks like a Final Fantasy type character, and it pretty much. He just sort of represents like a Final Fantasy villain. You know, he has the crystals, everything like that. When you go to battle him, he has the Final Fantasy IV like theme playing, like the battle music, like dun 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 dun. So it's like, oh, you're so fucking in the mood and everything like that. You're so jazzed. It's like, this is so cool. And then of course when you beat it, it's got the Final Fantasy fanfare, so you get the victory tunes and you're up there fucking throwing your hands up in the air and whatnot. And then it even plays at the very end when he finishes off the original Final Fantasy theme. It's just one of those things like so badass. Like that's something like in a game nowadays you see that a little bit more often, but you didn't see like beyond just your crossover being like, oh, there's Samus and there's, you know, Link. It's like, oh, what the fuck? There's a Final Fantasy crossover in this too. I mean, like granted, it's a Square game, but a lot of times as a 10-year-old, you don't put all those things together.
Before Kingdom Hearts, yeah.
Yeah, before Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom Hearts even had like, well, let's be honest, that has kind of a weird crossover. I know that there's a certain generation that really appeals to, but I feel for us older kids looking down at that, we were kind of like,
Well, I was even like, I had Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and I liked them. There's still some things about it, like, okay, that's a little meh. But I was still into them. But then, like, it took forever for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out, and by then I lost interest. And by that point, they stopped putting Final Fantasy characters into it. It's like, okay, you're just using Final Fantasy shit to bring people in, but now you got all these spin-off games and all this shit. They just kind of pull mostly from those characters now, and zero fucks given. So
yeah, it's like it's like I tried to give that one the old college try, and I just realized, you know, gameplay-wise, and even just kind of accepting the weirdness of Disney combined with Final Fantasy, it just wasn't for me. But I know there's that generation that's right below us, that game was like their Mario RPG. They're like, fuck, it's the most amazing thing fucking ever. Fucking Disney combined with this and like emo and all this stuff. It's me. And we're just, huh.
Sora was my second tattoo aside from the used logo.
Huh, you know?
Yeah.
With Mario,
well, there's that generation.
Well, we got our Mario RPG tattoo right next to my fucking flaming Pantera logo, so I don't know.
The tattoo was of like Gino with a double neck guitar flipping the double bird with his dick out. What? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking Dimebag Darrell's playing a solo right next to him. It's fucking sick. Oh, that used tattoo of your fucking Kingdom Hearts one? Fuck that tattoo. Oh, a Keyblade? Yeah, fucking, like that hurt anybody. Maybe poke a guy's eye out with that, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to, yeah. But anyway, going back to, well, and I feel like being really adventurous, I put on a Treyu. No,
the guitar solos are at least a little bit better in there. I mean, I have to give you a little more credit there. That's better than the used.
Just like, yeah, it's the most badass band ever. They're named after the lady from The Neverending Story. Okay, you ruined it.
Yeah, well, actually, I thought that was a boy, but maybe that is a lady. Shit, I don't know.
Same thing.
Same fucking thing. When they're young, you just can't tell.
I didn't know.
You sound like my uncle. Oh, God. I really need to leave this conversation now.
Minus the cigarette burns. Yeah. But going forward with this game, what was I going to say? There's one character who you interact with who is like, God, I wish this guy seems like he was almost teed up to be part of your team, but nothing ever happens with him. And that's that shark guy. There's the Jonathan, yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I really liked that character just because, just first off, he's like a big old angry worn out shark that lives in a humanoid shark that lives in like a sunken ship, and he's a pirate, and that was a boss battle that was really fun. And then I like how you beat him. He's like, all right, you beat me fair and square. Here's your fucking star. And later you fight the real boss of that stage when you go back to the town. And then he's like, no, I got your back. I got Mario's back. You're not going anywhere. You're going to fight him like a man. I was like, God, I wish this guy was like, just, even though he is kind of like a little bit of a stereotypical
he's
pirate.
like, he's a stereotypical shark, you know what I mean? You know how that is.
Eats people, yeah. I'm a pirate, yeah. He just something about his character design and just kind of like that, like anti-hero that turns around. I'm like, I think he would have been a really cool member of the team, but then again, I guess you already have like the angsty anime character who crosses his arms all the times, and then you have Bowser, who's already kind of like reluctantly joining you for his own motivations. So I guess having one more anti-hero character that late in the game probably wasn't needed. But I really like that character. I think like he would have been I think that he would have been perfect for that. If like you didn't have Bowser in the game, I think he would have been the next best choice.
Yeah, I could totally see that too, because that is a really neat character. I will say the one thing that is kind of odd about Mario RPG is the fact that you do only have 5 characters in the game. Like, it always feels like there's just like an empty spot where you, like I'm going to run to somebody else, right? There's going to be somebody else in this game, and there's not. It's just, you think it'd be like, you almost feel like 3 or like 6 is a nice balance, you know what I mean? It's like, you can have this party of 3 or this party of 3. You know what I mean? And I guess what they were kind of going with is like, you have Mario, he's always there, because I don't think you can take Mario out of your party, obviously.
No, you can't. Yeah.
And then it's like you have your classic characters, Peach and Bowser, and then you have your new characters, Geno and Mallow. And I think that was kind of like the balance that they were sort of going with. So I guess it does make sense, but you almost do it at that same time. Like sometimes you'll see certain menus, and it looks kind of odd, because it's like 3 down and then 2 down, and it's like there's just this blank space. Blank space that... Well, fuck, it was supposed to be Mario, but you know what? Mario never showed up. I mean, not Mario. Luigi, fucking brother. He slept in. Can you believe it? He slept. A giant sword comes down, and he sleeps in through a whole fucking adventure. Typical fucking Luigi. He told me he had some problem about this mansion he's been trying to buy.
It's a goddamn real estate scheme. No,
he keeps pouring fucking money into it. Every fucking year we go out on an adventure, he keeps pouring more money into this haunted fucking mansion thing. I don't know where it's fucking leading to.
Is Luigi in the beginning like, hey Mario, you got mail or something like that? Or is he nowhere in the game other than the credits?
He's in the credits, and then also when you're like on the star path, whatever the heck it is, if you go up there and you talk to those little stars and there's like wishes and so on, there's literally one that like this almost ties into like the Mario Brothers movie, but there's one where it's like he's like, I wish I was as good a plumber as my brother. I wish my brother wouldn't come home drunk and beat me after an adventure.
What's wrong with you, Luigi? Why are you so weak? It's just like Papa always said.
Once a fucking plumber, always a fucking plumber. Luigi, I don't want you getting that job as a vacuum salesman. I don't trust that EGAD guy.
Actually, you know what? Go ahead. Go become a vacuum salesman. I don't want you tarnishing our fucking legacy. There's your stick and spindle. Get the fuck out of my house.
This was the intro of Mario RPG you missed out on. It just kind of cut to Peach singing out there and getting taken away. But before that happened, fucking Mario was literally kicking Luigi out of the fucking house. You get out of the fucking house. You're not my brother anymore.
Well, I'm also thinking like the whole time, like, where the fuck was Luigi this whole time? Well, he was organizing the parade.
Yeah, he was on the important matters and so on.
He was so sure Mario was going to win. He's like, well, guys, I'll just wait back and organize the parade.
But Mario...
You got this, right?
What about that time you were missing? I was missing for a good fucking reason.
I
didn't need you to come fucking look for me.
Well, I had to go on an educational journey through San Francisco and Seattle and learn about their history. Did you know that the Massachusetts Belle... Shut up, Luigi. I was in Tijuana getting blasted.
I was fucking your girlfriend Jay-Z down there. Yeah, it was called the Super Mario Land Adventure, but you know what? That's what I was fucking doing. I want to bring it to you straight because I'm a fucking man. So if I fuck so, like, my brother's girlfriends, I let them know. I say it straight to their faces. That's what Grandpa would have always wanted. But I'm done with her.
Yeah,
Dave.
me and Daisy.
You can take her. You know what I mean? Redhead's just time for Mario.
Though if I feel like it, you know what she'll be.
Exactly, you know what I mean? Because might be one of those nights that, Peach is doing princess duties or something like that. I can't fucking wait around for all that shit.
She's like, hey, Mario, have you seen Daisy? Like, yeah, she's in my room. Why is she in your room? Why you fucking ask questions you don't know the answer to? Go fix the fucking plumbing. Go practice.
Yeah. This is why she's not fucking with you right now. If you were fucking as good a plumber as I was, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
That's true. She does make me wear red when we fuck.
There's even an episode of Mario the cartoon, The Proof. But yeah, sadly, Luigi's not in this game. I will say, if there's one thing in this game that like I just always felt kind of odd not being in there, is the fact that Luigi's not there. Let's be realistic. I think Luigi should have been in this game. I've always felt that my whole life.
Luigi took a back seat to a lot of major Mario games for a while. Like, alright, so there was this game. Mario, at the time, it was major.
Mario 64.
Mario 64. And then for a while, he only appears in party games. Because in Paper Mario, he's just there for like, hey, Mario, some mail came for you. Give me the fucking mail, you know.
Don't you fucking touch those bills. I don't want you fucking looking at this. Yeah, that's my subscription to fucking Playboy. You don't fucking look at them, though. Ain't for fucking you. I don't want you fucking grubby hands over my magazine. I like the fucking articles and I want them to be pristine.
Leave it on the coffee table with the rest. Do not open it.
Yeah.
I will know if you did. Like, okay, I'll be here watering the plants while you go on your adventure. Like, that's what you fucking do. If my fucking plants are dead by the time I get back, so fucking help me Christ.
Put a fucking piranha plant in your fucking bed. Don't you fucking make me do it. You know I fucking will.
Actually, do it. Just give me the excuse.
I'm taking this fucking fat lady out right now. We're going on a fucking RPG adventure. And I'm fucking flat, so get over it.
Are you talking about Mello?
No, it's not like in like Mario RPG, you have like that fat little like pink lady or whatever. In Mario, or in Paper Mario, not Mario RPG.
Oh, Paper Mario. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about. It's just like, well, he cries a lot, so he might as well be a woman.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Here's the thing. I'm probably gonna get drunk at some point. And I'll probably try to fuck that thing. Probably try to fuck that fairy boy again, or girl. I don't know what the fuck it is. Shit, got pointy ears. You know, when I think pointy ears, I think of fucking like, you know, chicks.
Something to grab onto.
Yeah. You know what I mean? What man has a fucking pointy ear? That's just all I'm saying. Spock? Spock does. Fuck you and your Star Trek.
Fucking nerd.
Luigi, this is why you don't go on fucking adventures. You know, I'm not taking you on my 64 adventure either. You don't fucking belong there. You know what I mean? And it's a big deal too, because I'm not even taking fucking Yoshi. And if I don't take fucking Yoshi, it's a really fucking big deal.
You can't come on my Galaxy adventure. Actually, you can come when I'm done doing everything else. Then you can come on the adventure. But only after I'm done.
You get sloppy seconds. That's what you get at the levels.
Nah, I'm used to that. Okay.
I know, that was always the thing, though, is Luigi really did. It's like, you think about, like, after Mario World, everything pretty much past that point, unless it was a party game or something, he's not there. Like, is Luigi even in Mario World 2, you know, Yoshi's Island? I mean, he's probably there.
I think he's in the credits. I think he's at the end because Mario's reunited.
I mean, what happens when you play 2 players in that game? I feel like that's a game that I don't think I've ever played 2 players in.
Is there a 2-player version of that game?
Maybe there's not. I don't know. I almost want to.
Maybe it's 2 players, because that's the thing about Mario. Super Mario World is it's 2 players, but it's basically you just switch off levels.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking.
You're never on the same level at the same time. So I just figured it was something like that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking too. Maybe it's like that, and maybe there's Luigi in it. But like, let's say for the most part, though, yeah, Luigi's just fucking kicked to the curb. I don't know why that sort of was. It's like, maybe it's just like once like Shigeru Miyamoto and Nintendo was like, oh, we just always saw Luigi as just being that side brother. We didn't know you guys actually liked him.
We thought it was just player 2, and if you're gonna actually have if you're gonna have a single player game, why the fuck throw him in there? That's probably their mindset at the time. Mm-hmm. But moving forward with Mario RPG specifically, I was gonna say regarding a lot of the bosses in this game, I absolutely hated the bosses. Those Power Ranger ripoffs, the Amex Rangers,
the Axum Rangers or whatever,
XM Rangers, whatever they are,
Super Sentai.
I was so fucking furious when going against them, because first off, you beat that stupid looking inbred lava dinosaur thing. It's like a bigger version of those things like in Mario World that hop out of the lava, like they just have that like face when they jump out of the lava.
Mm-hmm.
You find like a bigger version of one of those, and then you're like, that wasn't too bad. It took a little bit of time, but okay, cool. Oh, there's the star. And these fucks come in out of nowhere and steal it. And I'm thinking like, okay, maybe this is a cutscene or something, and maybe I'm gonna get something else between here and there, and my stuff was not like all leveled up or ready yet. And then I go and battle these guys, and they have like a couple of those cheap fucks to just knock you out within like 1 or 2 hits. It's like, what the fuck? And then I remember having to go all the way back to fighting that stupid fucking lava dinosaur thing again. And I just text you, just fucking furious, just fucking fuming at the game. And to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I do get gamer rage, and you find out because you get it through text, because it's almost like this angry memoir of my video games. What I write. Let me see this.
Well, that's what I always love about it, because it always makes me laugh. Because I remember one time I was just telling like someone, I was like, dude, Ryan's here. He's fucking freaking out because of he's getting turned into like a fucking toadstool over and over again. Out of context, it sounds fucking hilarious. Like I get it, but nobody else probably does.
Well, here's what happened with that. So there's like when you first get Gino and you go into that kind of Lost Woods area. First off, that part's not that bad. But what happened was I was playing in our living room, and my girlfriend just put out these flowers, these cilantro like flowers, right there on like the coffee table. And as I'm playing that, I'm starting to sneeze and cough a lot, and my eyes are getting really runny. And then you reach this part in there where I guess my guys weren't leveled up as much at that point. And I keep on running into these stupid bee things. And those stupid mushroom things would freeze your guys into mushrooms, so you can't move. You have to wait a couple of turns before they turn back. So I'm sneezing and coughing, and that's happening every fucking turn. There's that point where Gino, you don't know which because you see him just enter one room, and you have to follow them, but there's one point where you don't know, so you have to take a guess. And I kept them like 2 in a row. I picked the wrong ones, and I'm sneezing and coughing and just like snot running on my nose, not realizing it was a flower. I was like, what the fuck? This is fucking bullshit. And I start texting you like, this fucking game is fucking horse shit. And then I just go sit down for like 30 minutes. She takes the flowers out of the room. Like, I think the reason why you're having this reaction right now is your flowers. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, fuck you and your fucking flowers.
This game is fucking dumb. And then she takes the flowers out. I breathe for a minute. Like, okay. I start playing the game, not having an allergic reaction. Like, okay, it was these flowers that were in our living room. And then I beat it no problem, like very easily. Like, okay, all right, yeah, I was just having a little bit of that bad gamer rage. So I had some of that, but then there's the one where I still stand by this. I fucking hate. Let me read our conversation.
For the Axum Rangers is what you're saying?
The Axum Rangers. Here's our conversation. You sent me a thing like, oh, dude, check out. There's this cool Mortal Kombat cartoon that just came out. Then I say, dude, fuck these Power Ranger cunts. And then you just write back, yeah, the yellow one could have some intense attacks. Then I just wrote, the thought of killing them in front of their children makes me hard. That's how much I hate these motherfuckers.
I thought about that scene when I was playing through that. I'm like, if you don't go back and save right there after the retarded dragon thing, I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen to Ryan when he goes to fight the fucking Power Ranger ripoffs.
And then like that, you just got a text. And then it becomes, because then it becomes like them by themselves, like 1 or 2 of them would not be hard. But the thing is, you got like 3 of them, which are heavy hitters, and then you got one that keeps on healing, and the one that keeps on throwing this little bitch ass magic out. So
and the fat fucking yellow one that does like attacks that pretty much kill Bowser and Mario in one hit.
Yeah, so I basically did the thing where I went out of my way. You told me go get the lazy shell and the 2 lazy shells, the weapon and the
armor,
and the armor. And I remember going and getting those, and then like, Mario, why is Mario's attacks down so much? This thing's supposed to make him stronger. Then I realized, oh, this can go on anybody. Okay, so I put the armor on Peach after you recommended that. And then just Mario just fucking, they all just annihilate. He just annihilated with that fucking shield.
Yeah, because that shell's his best weapon in the game, and it's like one of those ones like, I should have told you to go get the Peach. You could get Peach's best weapon too, because it's not that hard either. It's at like the Moleville town or whatever. But
what's her best weapon?
It's a frying pan.
Oh, really? Shit. Oh, so that's where that comes in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, so that's where it kind of comes by and whatnot. And, I mean, granted, you put the lazy shell under it drops the attack, but still, at the same time, that frying pan kind of at least raises it sort of back up to being, plausible and workable.
Yeah, so I actually went and knocked those guys out, and I did it systematically. I went and took out the pink one first, because she heals everybody. Then I went after the yellow guy, and he was done pretty quickly. And then, like, once I got that shell and kind of had it, because by then, between here and there, the killing the red thing, then going back, saving, and then going and getting the shells, and then going back and going through all of it again. Between here and there, they level up a couple of times. And then on top of that, I got this fucking badass weapon now. So, second time around, those guys, they weren't like super easy, but fairly easy. It didn't take me, once I had my system down, like, all right, I gotta revive Mario, or I gotta revive Bowser once or twice. But once you kind of figure it out, like, okay, I got this.
And that's always kind of how an RPG sort of is. It's like kind of like if you kind of go in, you have the right tactics kind of going, you can do totally fine if you're prepared and everything like that. But it's kind of like, if you show up to a situation, you just don't have the right weapons and your health's low and you're running out of items and so on, you can just get fucked like real instantly.
Yeah, even Smitty. I mean, I think that was the last time. Like, I had bosses that I had trouble with and that I came close to dying. But I think that is the last time I actually died on somebody in that game. Everything else was me just basically knocking them all out.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever battle the Jinx guy in Montrose, or whatever the heck that town is called? Montrose? I feel like
Jinx?
Yeah. He's at like the Kung Fu dojo.
Oh, you know what? I never went back to him. I walked in on him, and then I left. I'll do this later.
I can't remember what he really gives you. He gives you some type of item or whatnot, but I think that was the only time I died in this take of the game. Is right there. And I was like, oh, I guess I gotta train up a little bit more. So I had to go get a couple more levels and come back to him. And I think it wasn't the first battle. I think it was the second battle I couldn't beat him on. And there's 3 battles you gotta do or something like that. But
okay, yeah, yeah. Going through it, I managed to beat Smitty and run through. There's I think the last I died probably maybe 4 times in the game, 4 or 5. And then, a lot of it was just not having a strategy or just kind of, or just, getting to that point where you just get frustrated, you get caught yourself in that loop where they die, come back to life, and only enough time to revive one person before that person gets killed again, and just getting frustrated and coming back to it later. But once you actually figure it out, it's actually pretty manageable. The only other thing that I really fucking hated in the game was the when you come to those 6 doors and you have that challenge thing. I fucking hate when because you don't know what's each one is, and there's ones that test your mind. I hated it in this game, and this is not enough for me to lower the score I want to give the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate it in this game, and I hate it in every other game. And maybe at the time, we just got to do a little place filler. It's when you got those button puzzles. You land on this button, and it ends the ones around it, but it lights up this one over here. You know what I mean? You walk into that room, there's all these buttons. You just got to try and figure out the right pattern to make all the buttons go off. I fucking hate that shit in video games, because I'm already pushing fucking buttons on the control. I don't need pushing buttons in the fucking game.
Yeah, I actually didn't do that one on this round when I was going through, I guess. But I do remember that now that you mention it from previous plays. And yeah, I mean, that part right there, it's I get it, that's supposed to be just some real hard challenges, and it's that's something you just don't get in video games anymore. And I think it's because a lot of those things too is nowadays fuck it, kids are just gonna fucking look the shit up on the internet. Why make a fucking puzzle if they're just gonna look it fucking up? So I almost feel that's why games kind of gave up on. That's why I think Resident Evil 3, though I like that remake a lot, it has no puzzles in it really. So I just almost assumed that they're fuck it, they're just gonna look the shit up. Why even do it?
Well, I feel like I don't mind a puzzle. I don't mind trying to figure something out, like in Legend of Zelda or whatever. And yeah, kids are going to look it up either way. But I don't like the thing where it's just it's almost like the game threw you a Rubik's Cube instead of giving you something to explore or figure out. You know what I mean? I don't like that kind of shit. I like it when it's something where you feel like you're immersed inside the game, and there's some kind of Indiana Jones-esque kind of puzzle in there you got to figure out, rather than just this try to light all these up correctly. It's I get you want me to think, you want me to work for it. I don't mind that. make it something more interesting than just flipping all these things on and off. And I managed to get through that somehow. I don't know. I'm just like, at some point there's a little bit of strategy, but more of it comes kind of luck. Just like, all right, I kind of lucked out that happened, and then got through it.
Yeah, well, and that part too is one of those ones that's like that old school where it's like, oh shit, I can't walk back that one, like, you know, stage back that I can go and save at. Like, I literally have to do all these. Well, you have to do 4 out of 6 of those ones there. Granted, I'm glad you only have to do 4 out of 6. That would, if you had to do all 6 of them.
I don't know if I would have finished it. I don't know if I would be here today talking about the game.
You know what I mean? Because there's a couple of them. It's just like, I mean, I guess you kind of look it up. I remember it's like the one. It's always kind of like, you know, you answer the quizzes, and like the main quiz is not that big of a deal. But then they like you go like a couple puzzles farther into it, and towards the end, there's one where it's like, you know, okay, so there's a marathon going on, and Boo's riding a bike, and, you know, Koopa's you're swimming the contest, but who's first, who's second, and who's third? It's like, the fuck kind of like...
Or there's
I came here to play a fucking video game. What the fuck kind of question is that? Like, well, you know...
there's like, what was the color of Mario's shades in his house? Like, you expect me to pay attention to all this shit?
Yeah, it's just like one of those ones, it's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, there's some of those ones... You know, and it's like that kind of thing, like a lot of times when it comes to that sort of stuff, I always like to do the thing where, like, I always say, you give it the old college try, and if you really can't get past it, then you kind of look it up. But, like, you know, give it a couple, you know, good goes and so on. But I saw that, I was like, fuck that door, I'm going to another door. After that fucking who's on first fucking bullshit.
Yeah, no, I tried that one twice, and I was like, fuck this. And then... there's like the obstacle course one with the platforming, and that was one right there. I was like, oh, you gotta be shitting me. This isn't like a normal Mario platformer. At this angle, it's hard to judge the jumping, at least it was for me. So I was just like, fuck. If I'm not fucking doing, you know.
I'll say,
I'm not doing this one.
The one thing I will give the credit is at least when you fall in the fire, like if it seems like if that was another Mario game, it would have fucking restarted you at the beginning, but it just restarts you kind of right where you fell at. So I will say, I mean, there's like 10 tries, so there's that. But I think the best thing on that one is just don't get the fucking items. Just focus on the exit.
Yeah, that's what I found myself doing. There's that part where it has that little Donkey Kong homage where you fight one of those gorilla things, and we get up there, it's like, oh fuck, and he just gets away.
Yeah, that part's like one of those ones that's like, oh fuck, am I gonna lose my tries on this? I kind of forgot how fucking tough that got, like, in a moment. But
well, it's one of those things, like, there's the ones that just go down systematically, and there's the one that homes in on you wherever you're at. So you just almost gonna have to be like, it's the first few times, like, how much to fucking figure this out? Then I stop for a minute, like, okay, there definitely is a pattern here, and I just gotta stop and analyze that pattern, then move forward.
Yeah, exactly. But like each one of those ones, I will say, but like that to me reminds me, like, they are those kind of like, they can make you kind of frustrated, some of those parts there, but they're also those, like, I always call like that good old fashioned like challenge that I just don't see in video games really as much nowadays. Because nowadays, like, you know what I mean? Like, the challenge sometimes always isn't there. And I'm not saying, like, you have to have, like, I mean, like, I know why they had those challenges back in the day. It's like, we gotta make the game a little bit longer, because can't have fucking Billy beating that game, you know, in 2 hours by the time he gets home, so we'll make it fucking hard so he has to work at it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something to kind of be said, because, like, I will say, once you kind of finish those parts, though, there is that, you know, feeling you get where you're like, yeah, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, fuck.
I was glad I did all that
without... challenge, but fuck that fucking... Who's Boo fucking in first in his fucking swimming contest?
Yeah, no, actually, I felt good about that, because I said, which one has this, which one has that, and I ended up going through the very door you told me not to go through. But at the same time, it was one of those things where I still managed to get through that without having to look anything up, and I felt pretty good about that. I'll say another character we didn't mention. I feel like, maybe I'm wrong here, maybe just coincidence, but I feel like this may have been Nintendo ripping off Sega. There's that one villain who's like a treasure hunter / thief who comes by, and he's like that purple crocodile guy with the fedora, or it's a cowboy hat. I am like probably 90% sure that Croco is meant to be a, if not a parody, at least a ripoff of Knack the Weasel from Sonic the Hedgehog. Because this is around that time where he would have been in a few games.
Let's see. What do you think? What was the first game that Knack the Weasel was in?
Sonic Triple Trouble for Game Gear.
That's right. Okay, and that's definitely before, because
I was in the bonus stages. Yeah,
I think that's 1994. That game, if I remember.
And because for a minute he was that side villain who only popped up like in who only popped up like in Sonic, like not party games like Mario Party, but I guess side games. Like he popped up in Sonic Drift 2. He was in Sonic Champions or Sonic the Fighters. So he was kind of like that other Sonic villain who wasn't a main villain, but he was kind of there for a minute, and then he kind of was forgotten until Sonic Mania. So I could see them like trying to make another Mario villain kind of like that, other than maybe because Wario.
Yeah, it's kind of. I'll actually say that's another interesting one. That's kind of there's. You totally could have used Wario at any part, but maybe that might have been one of those weird ones too, where like probably when people are putting this game together, maybe they're thinking like, well, if we do a sequel, we could almost even use Wario almost in like it and so on, and there's.
Well, here's my question. Oh, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say there's just so many places you can kind of go with a Mario one.
Well, here's my question. By this point, is Wario at this point in Mario, is Wario a villain or just a mischievous kind of asshole? I guess that's always the same thing in Mario, basically.
By this point, I think you got Super Mario Land 3, which is like
Wario Land.
You're technically playing as Wario. I mean, he's the villain of Mario Land 2. And then in Mario Land 3, you're playing as him, and that's already out by now. I don't know if Wario Land 2, can't remember if that one would be out, but it'd be out probably very close to this. So he's kind of your anti-hero. He's like your Lobo of Nintendo.
I guess he is kind of like your Lobo. He's more of your Lobo than your Shadow the Hedgehog, I guess. But I guess that was kind of their sort of, I guess Shadow is kind of their war. It's kind of like is like Sonic's Wario.
It really is. When you don't put those together, but you're like, yeah, he pretty much is. He's got a different personality, of course, because Wario's just like ultra. He just reminds you of like the ultimate Republican character. Like at the end of the
Wario,
day,
he went from being a character I hated to I don't know what it is. I find myself liking Wario now, maybe because I do see the Lobo-ness of him. How Lobo's just kind of like, I'm just going to get on my bike, and if I get into a fight, whatever, man. It's just another day for the life of Lobo,
Exactly, because I think as a kid growing up, who was just always like, oh, fucking, like, Wario just represented, like, the computer in Mario. That's what I always would think of Wario as. Because, you know what I mean? You put Wario there just so you could, like, hate on him, but then he'd fucking win every once in a while, and you'd have that screen where you had fucking Wario's winning screen on Mario Party, and it almost just, like, sort of brought you great shame, like, yeah, you fucked up.
Yeah, well, he was just one of those guys, like, because that time I always hated him, but now I can't say what happened. Somehow I just kind of came around, and I like him now.
Yeah.
Maybe because might be as dumb as, like, a reason a kid might like a character. Like, well, he rides a motorcycle. So I'm like, well, he likes a motorcycle. He's kind of in a biker gang. He's maybe like the Hell's Angel of all the Mario characters. It's just like, Wario, what were you doing in that? What were you doing in that bathroom stall? Mind your own fucking business.
No, I kind of agree with you too. Like, I've kind of come around to Wario too as time has went on. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, you know what? I kind of like that rambunctiousness. I do what I fucking want to do kind of attitude. You know what I mean?
It's like, how far away is Mexico from the Mushroom Kingdom? Oh, it don't matter. We're going either way.
Yeah. I mean, that's okay. I got some Crease Clearwater greatest hits. You'll kill some time along the way.
I know a guy who has some lewds. Has lewds? Yeah, man, those things are fucking potent. Trust me, man. Only way I can sleep at night. Bounces out the PCP, believe it or not.
But yeah, you want some? I got him.
Oh fuck, Yoshi ate him.
Oh shit, we're gonna be in for a party tonight.
Just have Yoshi doing the fucking Leo thing from like Wolf of Wall Street, just dragging himself like
his tongue.
Foot first dragon.
But what do you think? Here's another character. What do you think of Boshi?
Hope he fucking dies.
The fucking Wario, I guess you would say, for Yoshi.
Well, we never see him again, so I'm guessing like all the Yoshis are all like, fuck this dude. Yeah, fuck him. And just the idea of it's just like, yo, you want to race me? Bring me some fucking cookies.
Yeah, I ain't fucking racing about no fucking cookies.
Wow. How can you look tough and be badass? Like he's the Yoshi, with the sunglasses, like leather jacket with like the cigarettes in the sleeve, yeah, I'll race you. Just bring me some of your grandma's cookies.
Yeah. Actually, give me some Little Debbie's. I like the Little Debbie's.
We all need some Debbie's. Yeah. like, okay. Careful, he's the badass of Yoshi Island.
Well, what's he do? Well, he just races and then waits for someone to bring him cookies again. Oh,
he just sits there with his arms crossed, leaning against that palm tree.
Yeah, I know. So it's like, I'm surprised you. That seems like one of those like weird characters that you could kind of bring back, like in a Mario Kart or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, shit, we're at that point where it's like, once they threw a fucking Animal Crossing character in there, I'm like, well, you could throw anybody in there now, I guess.
Well, I guess it was the one time I wanted to see a Yoshi die. So it's like, I guess if you did have the like the Mario, if you did have like the Yoshi game, like, oh no, here comes Boshi, you just have like a variation of the Yoshi theme, just has a little bit more bass to it.
Yeah, exactly. He swayed his head back and forth like Gary.
Going other, there's the one villain. I think he's like the 4th or the 5th star. It's right when Bowser joins you, and he wasn't actually part of Smitty's whole gang. The star just happened to land in his castle, and
Booster.
I kind of liked that character. He seemed kind of like a stand-in for Wario, but for whatever reason, I found myself liking that character.
You know, I think that's a very interesting part, that whole Booster's Tower, and plus I love the song too. It's like, you know, and it's just like, I like us just this guy who's like an overgrown child, but he also just looks like your old biker uncle at the same time. So it's like a really weird combination.
Yeah,
he got a full-grown fucking beard and just looks like he's just been up like fucking like snorting cocaine. But then he's like, "Where's my fucking Mario toys? Yeah. I'm gonna get my choo-choo train." Woo! Woo!
Listen to like Grateful Dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Friend of the Devil is a friend of mine. What? You can only listen to them live. Don't listen to any of their studio shit. It's not the same thing.
I'll even say there's a part right there that once again doesn't seem like much nowadays, but in fucking like the 90s and early 2000s, this thing was like fucking like out of this world, where you're in Booster's Tower and you walk behind that curtain and fucking Mario comes out in 8-bit style, but he's in a 3D world and it's playing the original Mario theme. Like, I remember that part being so cool that you would almost hang out there. This sounds so fucking stupid, but back in those days, you would literally hang out there so you could almost listen to that song a couple times and play around as 8-bit Mario, because you knew that once you left that room, that's fucking it. You don't get to do it again. You gotta play through the game over if you want that part again.
Well, the other thing about that kind of thing right there, the other thing about stuff like that in video games from back then is, I guess it was before it was all super retro. By that point, it was just like, I mean, granted, it was over 10 years old by that point, but it was still kind of like, oh yeah, it's the SNES. That's the regular NES. That's the one that last generation, and that's the thing I unplugged to make room for the Super Nintendo. So we're making a reference to that. Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So but now though, it's one of those things like that's so much in your face. Like retro Mario stuff is everywhere now. So seeing it there, it's a little bit more like, oh wow, they're kind of jumping the gun there. They did it kind of early before it was cool to do that.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like it was one of those ones. Like I'll say this, I don't think I ever really saw a game that kind of like referenced itself like a retro thing like that. You know, even like the fucking like Nintendo Power Strategy Guide, when it talks about that little part, they're like, oh yeah, this is like, it almost talks to like almost like you're a kid. Like, this was from like a Mario of, you know, ye old times, you know, in the 80s when cocaine was still legal.
Don't you want some kids?
Oh no, well it's the 90s, so you got your John Travolta and your heroin. Like, well, you just go with it.
Pulp Fiction, now on Sega Genesis.
You know, but like I just remember that part though. Like, it's like one of those ones. Like, as I said, like if you showed that to a kid now, they'd be like, "What? I fucking seen Mario before, like fucking 8-bit." Like, but it's like,
I don't see the big deal. I play that. I have a bunch of Mario Maker games in that style. I don't see what the fucking deal is. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But like that time period, you're like, dude, 8-bit fucking Mario doesn't exist on Super Nintendo. Even in the fucking remake of Mario on Super Mario All-Stars, it's now a 16-bit game with different tunes and everything. You don't get the fucking same 8-bit, man. It's what I'm fucking saying. It's different. It's there. It's retro. Yeah. It's retro, but it's like
to kind of
in an early time.
they had All-Star Super Mario Brothers, where it was just all the NES games brought over on in the Lost Levels, original Super Mario 2, brought over on the Super Nintendo. And I think they were almost just trying to like, kids won't play it if it looks like the old thing, but if it looks like the new thing, might as well be a new game. Yeah.
I remember being also the other way around with that too. I remember trying to get people's like sisters to play that game with us. Be like, you used to play Mario 3 all the time. Like, come play it. And they'd look at me like, fuck, I'm not touching that fucking controller. Fuck you and your Super Nintendo controller. I'll only fucking touch an NES. It's like, well, geez, you have to swear at us? We're fucking 10-year-old kids. Be like, fuck you and your fucking new Mario 3. I only touch like old Mario 3. And it's like people
punches a hole in the wall and stomps out of the house.
Yeah, it was just one of those ones. It was funny how like that kind of was even at that time period. It was just like no, hey, fucking that's unpure Mario to have it on a fucking 6-button controller like I'm some fucking like octopus or something playing a video game.
God, two more buttons and two little bumper buttons on the top. The hatred that brought then. If only they see like what a Dreamcast controller or what a current controller is now.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say a Dreamcast controller actually has, ironically, the same buttons as like a Super Nintendo.
Oh, I guess because you have the joystick and you have the directional pad. But yeah, that's a good point though. It's yeah.
But everything else though, it's like, well, that's always the weird thing about the Dreamcast controller. I know I'm totally off topic, but it has less buttons than the Sega Saturn. I always thought that was fucking weird.
It looks more complicated at a first glance. When you think about it, you're right. It only does. The only thing it has more of is just a joystick and directional pad. Yeah. But yeah, it is weird how sometimes something can look that much more intimidating. But I like the Dreamcast controller is one of my favorites.
Yeah, that literally is one of my all-time favorite controllers. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Well, I realize I like big controllers. I like manly controllers, like ones that you could take and go like logging with and so on, and fucking eat stacks of pancakes, like a Dreamcast controller, or like an Xbox like Duke controller. Or like the Wii U controller.
I actually like the 360 controller. I like the 360 controller.
Oh, I like that one too. But I'm talking about, remember the Duke on fucking original Xbox? Like the one that was like you could.
Where it's a cantaloupe with buttons.
Yeah. I love that controller. That one's just like fucking grabbing something right there.
It may as well have been like a Morning Star.
Yeah,
like on a chain.
Spin it around. Just gotta be careful you don't like hold it at that one place where it's got that breakaway thing on the Xbox controllers. But yeah, back to Mario RPG and all that stuff. The other thing too, it's like I think this is one of those ones that also made this game feel kind of radical at the time period too. Was all the little mini games that were kind of thrown into this as well. Because once again, this is a time period where a lot of times you bought a game and like you generally got like kind of mostly one game. Maybe there was a bonus stage. Like I'll use like Sonic as kind of the example. You get Sonic, you got your platform running levels, and then all of a sudden you might get one kind of like semi 3D bonus stage. But that was about kind of it. Where Mario RPG, it's like not only did you have, the RPG part, you had kind of the Mario platforming parts, but then they'd throw in some other little things in there too. Like there was like the minecart part, kind of like a la Donkey Kong, but like it's in that Mode 7 sort of 3D kind of feel of the Super Nintendo. And, it's one of those ones, like, nowadays you wouldn't think too much of that, but I just remember being a kid playing that. I'd be like, dude, when you get to the fucking minecart scene, it's so fucking sick. I can't wait to get back there again. Like, it's so amazing.
That'd be that thing where you have, like, a secondary file. There'd be the file you play through the game, and there'd be those times you replay through the game, and then you save it, like, at a certain point. There's points in the games you're like, I really like this boss battle, or I really like this, but I have to replay the game all over again, so you would just save it at these couple of spots to go back and play it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, granted, you can always kind of go back. Once you beat the minecart part, you can actually go back, and they're like, hey, you can do it again if you want, and get more coins and other stupid shit and whatnot, Or, like, there's other stuff, too. It's like, this is not as fun, but just at the same time, it's like you have these kind of moments in it. Like, when you have the booster, like, when Booster's pretty much trying to fucking, like, take Peach up to the top of the mountain, God forbid, like, he's... and you're chasing him up that hill, and you're like, get the fuck back here. Don't you fucking dare take my woman.
Well, I like that it's like he doesn't even care. He just wants a woman. And it's like by that point,
he's like I want a woman, not some little girl who didn't grow up in daddy's big world.
Well, then there's like the part when like at the end, because you break up the wedding, and he's like, oh, whatever, not a big deal. Let me just eat some cake. And he just like, this whole thing, like you're trying to like, they made this cake that just basically is destroying everything. You're fighting for a while, and he just says like, oh, you know what? I'm hungry. I'm going to eat this fucking thing. He just goes at it like, all right, oh, no, is there a wedding anymore? Whatever. And just leaves. And that's good enough for him. And then later, of everybody he could marry, it shows in the credits that he marries that, like, poshy political lady who just, you know...
With like her fucking, like, you know, crow cousin.
Yeah! And it just comes down and she's like, what? And she's like... Whatever, it's somewhere, it's that place I can stay at, and he's just like, whatever, a hole's a hole.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, he's got a fucking tower. What can I say? It's the biggest tower in all fucking Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, it's like, okay, whatever. I got a real serious, I actually like Booster, but I got kind of like a Trump and his current wife kind of vibe from that, you know?
Yeah, exactly, like one of those kind of things. It's so odd.
And then, like, there's actually another thing. Going through the ending of the game, when it's showing what everybody's doing, I meant to mention this earlier, but I noticed they have, because it shows where everyone is in the world, like all the different people you interacted with, some of the good, some of the bad, and they show Mello being accepted by his family, and up there you see all these people.
Though we were rich, we threw you off, like, you know, like Moses.
It cries too much. Just the way he's soft and fluffy, he'll be fine. He'll land fine, you know. But then like, while they're doing that ceremony, they show this whole crowd of people. I'm not sure if you noticed this, and the programmers probably meant nothing by it, but I think it's funny just because you see this huge crowd of people, and then you see one person just walk away the other direction, like, yo, fuck this.
But yeah, fuck, I ain't fucking here.
I don't give a fuck about this kid. I was technically next in line. I'm like the cousin to the fucking king, and this little bastard just pops in out of nowhere.
Yeah, his Mallow's been fucking gone for 20 fucking years, and all of a sudden he shows up and says, "Hey, look at my fucking king dick."
Oh, because he's friends with Mario? Because everybody in that Mario's circle of friends gave the king a fucking autograph. And you notice something? I'm just going to say it. Ever since Mello moved into town, it's been raining a lot more.
Yeah.
Anybody else put that together?
That fucking pussy's always crying.
What kind of fucking king can't Okay, I'm going to stop right now. It's only going to make me matter. Oh, look, it's fucking raining again. What happened? Did he stub his toe? Did he spill his, like, watermelon gushers? What?
Yeah. And then he stepped on him and got him in between his toes, and he had that weird feeling of like, oh, this is kind of weird and sticky, but feels kind of good and awkward at the same time.
But then he suddenly got the thought in his head that what if his feet are stuck like this forever? So then he started crying again.
He started crying. I will say, like, bringing that kind of part up, I do like how this whole world's like almost like, oh, dude, like Mario and Bowser and Peach are all like fucking celebrities, like going around like, oh, fuck, you're the real Mario. Fucking prove it, man. Fucking gotta prove you're Mario, bro. And you just like, you jump, and you're like, oh, it's fucking Mario. Oh, guy runs around, fucking just starts like fucking like chest bumping his buddy. Like, get the fuck out, Mario's in my fucking, he's staying at my hotel. He's gonna shit in my toilet. Can you fucking believe it?
Do not flush. Don't ask why. I'll tell you what.
I'll let you stay here free if you don't flush.
Yeah.
I'll let you fuck my wife if you don't flush. Honey, I didn't agree to this.
Shut up, woman.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You didn't know this day was coming. I didn't know this day was coming, but it's here now. Don't fucking hold back.
Here, just here, have some, just whatever you do. If you use the bathroom, don't flush. Here, have some complimentary fiber bars on the house.
But no matter what, wherever you go, fucking Mario's just like, it's like, oh shit, that's the dude, that's the guy. I've seen him on TV before. He's banging all kinds of broads all the time, fucking, you know, fighting dragons and shit.
There's also that other part at the end when they show Croco hanging out with all the Yoshis, and you see him talking, I don't know, Bougie or one of them, but as he's walking away, like the others kind of turn their backs, and like one other follows. I'm like, are they taking him behind the bush to go kill him? Yeah. That's the first thing my mind always goes to whenever I see this shit.
Like where's he going? Being like, yo, it's fine you stayed here for a bit, Crocodile, but you ain't a fucking Yoshi. Let's be fucking honest.
Forget it. Like, I thought you guys were all like, Yoshi, you know, happy and go lucky. Oh, we are.
If you're Yoshi.
You're not. Mario gets a pass because we knew him when he was a baby, all right? We tolerate everybody else. Don't ask us why we didn't eat him when he was a child. The thought did cross our minds, but we thought this might help us out in the long run somehow. We're not as fun loving as you think. We're very much opportunist. So, and I don't see much opportunity with you. So, what the fuck you doing here? What's in that bag?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, did the raft back to the mainland already leave? Fuck.
Yeah, we blocked the warp pipe, so you ain't. We'll go fucking home.
So I guess you're staying for a little while, aren't you? All right.
Be careful.
Fucking unison.
There's another part. I don't know if you ever noticed it, but there's a part if you go to like Peach's room and you go to talk to like right next to like the fireplace there, this thing pops up and it's like, oh, Mario's like, what's this fucking thing? Whatever. And it goes, it's Peaches. And it goes question mark, question mark, question mark. And if you have Peach in your party, she pops out and she's like, Mario, what the fuck are you doing? Like, don't you dare touch somebody else's stuff. Yeah, like fucking.
You found a vibrator or something?
Like shove behind the fucking like thing there. And like even there's a part too, I think if you don't have Peach, if I remember correctly, because I had Peach with me when I went to go check it out again. But I almost want to say if you do it beforehand, like a toad lady comes out and is like, oh, Mario, yeah, that's the princess is here. Take a mushroom and just forget what you saw. But I always thought
it's like
it's better when it's Peach's reaction, like Mario, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like I'm so stuck here forever because you're out saving Pauline or some other fucking cunt. hey, some of us are. You know what I mean? I'm not like my fucking brother who thinks he's a one-woman like guy. Mario ain't a one-woman guy. You know what? He sleeps around. Yeah, there I fucking said it. I'm from the 80s. Fucking Motley Crue generation. Fuck you.
Let me tell you something, Peach. You can't cage a wolf. He's only gonna go rabid.
Just like you can't cage a plumber. There's always a new pipe to slide into.
No matter what size.
You know what? Sometimes it's Pauline. Sometimes it's Daisy. Sometimes it's you. And sometimes
it's Birdo. You seen those lips?
Yeah. Shit. Sometimes it's that fucking elf boy. I can't help myself. I keep going back to him. That's the fucking part where I start questioning things. You do it once, you're drunk. You know what I mean? It's just one of those nights, you know what I mean? Just like David Bowie told me what the 70s was like, you know what I mean? Didn't mean you're fucking gay. It's just the 70s. It just happens. You know what I mean? Sometimes Mick Jagger's dick's just there and it looks good enough to suck.
Yeah. Like,
not gay though, but once I kept going back to the elf boy, you know, fuck it. I showed up at Zelda 2. I showed up at like fucking Link's Awakening. I kept coming back. I don't even know if that kid's fucking the right age. That's the worst part.
Thing is, I don't even know if it's the same kid.
I don't even know too. You know, one time I just fucking sent him back out to sea and hopefully hoped I didn't see him again. That was really my thought on it. I was like, you know what, maybe nobody should fucking catch this, you know? People already don't fucking like Jerry Lee Lewis for fucking marrying his 14-year-old cousin. They ain't gonna like a fucking 35-year-old plumber touching a 16-year-old elf boy.
Who knows? Maybe the age of consent laws are different in Hyrule.
I don't know. Shit. You don't know how those things fucking work there. You know what I mean? Magic and shit. I mean, I know we got magic here in the Mushroom Kingdom, but everybody's a fucking toadstool, and I'm just like a fucking dude, a blue-collar plumber, walking around with a fucking huge cock. There's not a lot of competition here. Just saying. Look at fucking Booster. He's a fucking overgrown man playing with toys. Just saying.
Yeah. Mario doesn't have a whole lot in the comp. Maybe that's the reason why he always just stayed in the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, oh my god, here I am a god. And, you know, they think that I'm just somehow have these jump abilities. Not true. It's John Carter rules. It's just like, I happen to be on this other planet. My biology is different, so I'm able to jump high. If anybody from our world came here, they could do the same thing. Luckily, I found it first. Fuck, I ain't ever going back.
It's probably one of those ones like, Luigi, fuck Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, we were the low of the low. We were the fucking shittiest working class. We were always in competition. No matter what we did, we never did a good enough job. But here in the
fucking Scapelli.
Fucking Scapelli. Always there to do better. Always had the fucking highest rating. Doesn't matter what the fuck we did. But here in the Mushroom Kingdom, there ain't that fucking competition. You know, shit. A plumber here is looked upon like a god. A plumber in fucking Brooklyn. Nobody fucking likes a plumber in Brooklyn. They want their fucking money back, even if you do the job right.
What do we got to worry about here? What's our competition? A man-child in a tower, a turtle dragon, and 8 billion mushroom people.
Yeah, and a guy named fucking Wart. Come on. Shit, he hasn't even come back again after we whooped his ass in 2.
I want them to bring Wart back in some game eventually. I think that'd be cool. I'm surprised. I mean, I'm wondering if, I don't know, because he's like one of those other characters who they just don't like to acknowledge, but I'm wondering if they'll bring him back for Smash Brothers in one of these DLCs, because I could see, given other characters, you have Piranha Plant as a character. That's legitimately surprising.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, like, I think it's, this is the weird thing, too. I think in America, Super Mario 2 is still always looked upon as kind of like a big deal game, but I think in Japan, they just kind of go, oh, that's just a stupid American game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everyone's,
well, I know
because that was the time period where, like, Japan used to keep doing that. They're like, make the stupid American version. Well, what's this Final Fantasy 4? It's too fucking tough for Americans. Tone it down. Stupid American version. Oh, shit, they still can't figure it out? Make that fucking Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. What are we calling it? Well, we're going to call it Final Fantasy Mystic Quest Stupid American version, but, Nintendo of America wants us to take that off.
I can see it being a thing where at the time they're thinking like, well, because, you know, they brought Mario, they changed Mario 2 for America, made it Doki Doki Panic, just made it with Mario characters. Their thought process is like, well, Americans don't want just an expansion, because Mario 2, the real one, was technically just an expansion. It was just harder, just more levels.
Yeah, it's really like the modern version of sort of like DLC. I mean, it's a full-length game, but it's literally just super fucking tough levels just to be like, fuck you.
Yeah, and I think their whole thing is they're going to want a new game. They're going to want to make something like with a different theme, make it feel like the next thing. So that was probably their mindset. And like, all right, that's what make it this Doki Doki game that we help make and all that. So they probably don't acknowledge it as that. But apparently, I mean, I don't know if this is true. This is just what I overheard. But I heard that apparently Japanese Nintendo fans get mad whenever Nintendo caves in to like American requests to like. They were mad when they brought in Banjo-Kazooie because that wasn't a big game over there.
Yeah, they're like, just fuck those British fucking cunts. Fuck them.
Well, it's also one of those things where I'm like, yeah, well, fuck fucking Persona 5. Fuck Persona. You know, that's kind of how I feel.
Well, I also kind of feel I'm like, Persona 5's not even fucking on Nintendo. Like, why is it in fucking Smash? That's all I got to kind of say. I mean, Terry Bogard, I mean, granted, he's only been in a few Nintendo games, but at least he has been on Nintendo.
I'm done. I'm done with video games with like slender magic schoolboys that have a whole like emo thing going on. I'm tired of that protagonist in video games. So I'm not even paying for the DLC for that one. Fuck that. That's why I didn't get the season pass, because you never know when you're gonna get a Persona 5. I'm gonna pick and choose with that.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, like, I like Fire Emblem, don't get me wrong, but shit, pump the fucking brakes on those Fire Emblem characters. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, they're all fucking swinging a goddamn fucking sword.
They're all swinging a sword, and maybe they either shoot a magic bow and arrow or shoot magic.
Yeah, it's like, that's the only thing, is there's like 12 fucking Fire Emblem characters, and they're pretty much just about all the same.
And someone's like, but Marth and Roy don't shoot any projectiles. So, you know what I fucking mean.
Here's the thing, I was fine with Marth and Roy. I think from that point on, you needed to kind of, you know, maybe like, you know, like one of the female ones, that's fine, but like you don't gotta keep adding fucking, even when they add the one from like the new Fire Emblem game, I'm like, that, it's the same fucking character swinging a goddamn motherfucking sword.
Is it a Fire Emblem character? I'll play it eventually and try it out, sure, but I'm kind of like...
It's a Fire Emblem character with a terrible fucking name. It's like names like Byleth or whatever. Like, I remember when I saw...
Bryth or whatever,
it's
something
by,
like that.
Leth, I want to say, like, Byleth. I haven't booted up my Fire Emblem, like, 3 houses in a while, so I feel kind of... This is one of those games where it's like, you know, I'm like, I'll get back to this at some point, and then, you know, just never did, but yeah, it's just like one of those ones where it's just like, God, another fucking Fire Emblem character, like... It's like, I bought the fucking seasons, you know, I mean, like, granted, like, there was some good season ones, like Banjo-Kazooie and fucking Terry Bogard and whatnot.
Terry, yeah.
But it's just one of those ones, like, come on, like, where's our Gino? Speaking of Mario RPG, I think that should be in there.
At the same time, people, I mean, it is weird that it's they got Cloud Strife, but at the exact same time, like, well, Final Fantasy has been on Nintendo systems, but not Cloud, but why not? He's probably the biggest one by this point.
Yeah, and well, at least you can say this now. Final Fantasy VII is on Nintendo Switch, so
Yeah.
it came around in the long run, but I kind of get that, because what are they going to do? You're going to put a Final Fantasy VI character on there? Like, at one point in time, that was the biggest game of all time, and that used to be looked upon as the greatest game of all time, but as the years have gone by, that game has sort of fallen off the wayside, sadly.
If they did choose that, cool, but they didn't, so, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been cool if they would chose Terra, and it was just like, here's our Final Fantasy character. Because, I mean, you could have probably done pretty much about very similar to what you did with Cloud, just instead used her instead. I would have been like, oh, that's Nintendo as fuck right there. But, I mean, I get it. Like, that one I kind of get, but, you know, we're getting off topic. Fucking, the way to keep it on topic is Smash Brothers Season 2 Geno. That's all I got to say. Not Mallow. Fuck.
They keep on cock teasing it. Well, here's the thing. They finally, they kind of like met people halfway. They didn't give you Geno, but they gave you
they gave you the
character, the
costume thing.
Which is like, whenever they throw out a costume for a character, it's like, fuck you. You know? Go the full distance. I don't need like a costume for like my me. Go the full distance. Make Geno. People want him enough, so, and I'm surprised that people have been wanting Geno a lot since Brawl. So
yeah, since Melee even. That was even like a thought in that game.
Who knows? Maybe that he's like the very last one they're saving. They could be, but who knows? I think Geno would be like seeing this, because playing this game, we should probably wrap it up soon because we're reaching over 2 hours. Playing this game right here, it kind of like reinforces that I think that there's a lot more things you can do with Mario, not just the RPG aspect, but just a narrative aspect. Because I think Mario has enough there to tee off and make like great stories. I know a lot of people always like, oh, it's always just save the princess or whatever, but I think this game proves you could still tell a fun story, and the game is funny in itself. And still make it engaging. And even though you may not like Paper Mario games as much, which I think I like this game more than the Paper Mario games I've played, I still think those games offer more of the world and show a lot more. And I think that they kind of prove that you can do more with Mario. And I wish Nintendo would open up and bring back more characters, maybe from this game or other games that we don't really see again.
I think so. Or it's like one of those ones, like, I'll even say this, because even like, you know, the big Mario games, like, you know, Mario Odyssey is pure amazing. I'm not saying anything against that, but like, almost if you sort of combine, like, hey, you can do traditional Mario levels and so on, but give it this full-fledged story, like a Mario RPG, where like you have these side characters, you have this witty dialogue, you have this exploration. Like, it maybe doesn't even have to be necessarily an RPG, but just have that even more in-depth kind of experience. Because I think that's what, like, I literally say, it's like Mario RPG easily, not only just in like my top 5 favorite RPGs of all time, it's still like in my top 5 favorite video games ever. I think we actually did a many fucking Old Man Orange podcast ago. Me, you, and Cisco, I want to say, did a top 10 favorite video games of all time, and I know for a fact that mine, Mario RPG, was on there somewhere. God knows where. This is like probably when we were only in like maybe double digits of podcasting.
No, it was probably like early hundreds, just because I remember it was it came out after it, but it was like 2 episodes before I moved to San Francisco. So I remember, even though it came out after the last episode I recorded before I moved, I remember it was, I remember this game was high up on your list. Was it number 1 or was it number 2? I don't remember.
It wasn't number 1. I'm assuming, if I can remember correctly, I would say that I think Final Fantasy VIII probably was. But it probably was at least, I'd probably say it's probably in my top 3, maybe 4. You know, somewhere. And I'd still say at this day and age, it's like kind of like, because I hadn't really replayed this game for a while. Like, I'll say this, the last time I played Mario RPG was actually on Super Nintendo. I mean, I know it sounds kind of weird, but almost like this day and age, when you say stuff like that, like, oh shit, it's been a while then, you know? So,
well, you're also one of those guys who you would, like an old record collection, you would have all your systems plugged in and play them pretty frequently. I remember I guess that was a minute ago, because I'm thinking, you used to do that all the time. Like, oh wait, that was back in early college and late high school. So,
I mean, that's still pretty much like it. I mean, like, I am one of those ones, like, when I pull out if I want a game, it's like a PS2 game or something like that. This sounds kind of like, I know there's some purists, this always sounds weird, but like, I've always been one of those kind of people, like, maybe because I just discovered emulation, like, in the 90s, that like emulations never bothered me. Like, I actually prefer to play a game, like an older game, on an emulation like even like the SNES Classic, like that to me, that's probably the best way to play it because I have that fear nowadays that like the SNES battery at some point is just gonna give out. You know, and I don't want to be halfway into a game and have that battery crap out on me. Because here's the thing, I had games that crapped out on me like in the early 2000s. So I don't want to, you know, in 2020, I'm very scared that those batteries are going to crap out. So I'd rather just play it. If I'm going to play an RPG especially, it's going to be on something like, the SNES Classic's the perfect way to play it. Like, hands down, you get the controller, you have the feel, you can plug it into pretty much any TV except for an older TV. You know, it looks great on there and whatnot. But, yeah, this playing it again I literally just reminded me like, yes, Mario RPG, just top games of all time. Like it's so good, you know. And I think as long as you like RPGs or like I'm gonna say traditional RPGs. I mean, if you like only action RPGs, then obviously this game might not be that appealing. But if you like traditional RPGs, this is one of those games that like I couldn't see why you couldn't go back to it. Like, it definitely holds up, I would say, pretty darn well. You know, I mean, there's some of those, like, early, or, like, late 80s, early 90s ones that, like, you have to really be into that kind of stuff to be there. I know sometimes people look at me like, I can't play fucking, like, old fantasy style. I'm like, you know, you just gotta get in the mood, man. You get in the fucking mood.
Same people who are just like, I can't watch a movie if it's in black and white. Well, Clerks isn't actually really an old movie. It just happens to be in black and white. I just don't like black and white. It just I can't get past it.
I don't know. Like that guy looks like Humphrey Bogart. I think that movie is old.
Yeah, there's
actually,
some people.
I kid you not. Now that I just thought about that, imagine Clerks, but Humphrey Bogart plays Dante.
I'm not even supposed to be here today. How many dicks did you suck? Tell me.
37. Why
37, my girl. Like everybody else is still dressed in the 90s. He's still like in a suit.
It's like, what? I like to look presentable here. But yeah, Mario RPG though, that is like that game. I just want to say, it is that game to me. It's just so definitive to me. I think that game's pure perfect from beginning to end. There's never a dull moment to it. It's all fun. It's got the perfect length for an RPG. It never has that dragging on feel, because that's sometimes kind of the downfall. I would even say even certain Final Fantasies and so on can have that feeling that after a while you're like, okay, let's get fucking past this part. You know what I mean? They're just extending it to 40 plus hours because they can. Where Mario RPG is just like, it's just the right amount of time. You have all kinds of fun stuff to do. It's almost that kind of game where you finish it, and though the experience is perfect, you're like, I almost kind of wish there was a little bit more. Like, almost like it's that good that, like, it could have gone on for another, like, 5 more hours, and I would have been totally fine.
Yeah, this game, it's basically, I mean, I had a few complaints about this puzzle or this boss or whatever, but overall, I really liked the game a lot, and I think if maybe, the first time when I played it, when it first came out, I mean, I wasn't ready for it. I just didn't have the attention span for a game like that, but if I probably played it just a few years later, when I was like playing Pokemon, when I was used to RPGs by then, this game probably would have been one of my main favorites. And it's probably up there as far as RPGs go for me. I haven't really had time to think about it. But as a Mario fan, and as someone who likes turn-based RPGs, I definitely recommend this game. And there's plenty of ways to get it now. I mean, you get it on Virtual Console on the Wii. You can get it on the SNES Classic. I'm surprised they never made like a port for the Game Boy Advanced or anything like that. But
yeah,
regardless,
well,
this
technically
is
you can't get it on the Wii at the moment because the Virtual Console's closed. But you can get it on the Wii U. I think that one's still open.
Oh, so all Virtual Console stuff for the Wii is totally gone? Okay.
Yeah, they killed the internet on that like 3 or 4 years ago. I remember it was a very sad day, and there's a couple games on there that are kind of like locked in time that I almost wish I would have bought. It's one of those things you didn't think about it till it's too. It's like when someone dies. It's like you don't think about it till it's too late. You're like, man, I should have went over and visited more often.
I wasn't sure if you could still order stuff on the Virtual Console. Like, oh, you can still buy stuff here, but it's just whatever. But I guess yeah. Regardless, though, there's still other ways to get the game, and the game's totally worth playing and checking out.
Yeah, so, good old Mario RPG, and we'll continue our Mario Madness May, or Mario May, I guess, just for that matter, and go through a Mario series of all kinds of fun stuff. We got some other neat things lined up. More, like, this probably right here is probably our most, I guess, well-known Mario choice we have, and I will still say that, like,
this and the Mario movie are probably the two most well-known things.
Yeah, probably still, and I'll even say, I still think that Mario RPG, it's like, though, like, I think people know about it, I would say it's not still, like, the top tier of, like, everybody kind of, like, has played it and gone through it and so on. It still is kind of a little bit of a hidden gem, It's like that it's a hidden gem that everybody sort of knows about, but not everybody's really been there, I guess you could say. But
people have played it like, oh, dude, that game is so cool. I have not been back since then, but yeah.
Yeah, or they never finished it, or maybe they just like took a look at it or watched, someone. But we got some other stuff on the list that either you never kind of like looked at, or it's been a very long time. Let's just say that. But yeah, till then, go check out oldmanorange.com. Oh, and I gotta mention this too, since it'll probably be up by about the same time. But Pizza Boys issue 9 is up on a little Kickstarter pre-order where you can get a physical copy or a digital copy right now. As this episode goes up, it'll be kind of timed out probably towards the end of that run right there. But beyond that, once that thing's done on Kickstarter, you can always get Pizza Boys 9 on Amazon and then eventually Comixology and what have you. Just want to throw that out there. But check that out. Go to oldmanorange.com. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange Podcast. Sure, check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, animation, and a whole lot more. We also have the Old Man Orange blog going with all kinds of fun stuff. If you easily want to support the show, use one of our Amazon links either on the website or in the description of the podcast below. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show either on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Newgrounds, or anywhere else that you seem to get this podcast from. Grab the sitcom-styled comic book Pizza Boys on either Comic Central, Comixology, or Amazon. Want more podcasts? Check out the Indie Comics Club over at Comic Central. I also got a workout website called Thor's Hidden Gym, filled with fitness tips and tricks, videos, and a whole lot more fun stuff in the calisthenics world. Talk to us on Twitter at Spencer S. Holmes and Dunnigan Ryan. Like our Facebook pages of Old Man Orange Productions and Pizza Boys Comic. Thanks again. We're out of here.